Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Benjamin Juan, the host of the Natives in America podcast, and with me, as always, is Sky Antone.
Yo, what's up? How we doing?
He's here, and I'm happy to announce that we have another guest on today, Mr. Dwayne Manuel, as I like to call him, Dwayno Insano. He's here. He's here, guys. So go ahead and sound out, brother.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here, and I really look forward to this crazy conversation we're going to have. Well, I hope it's crazy.
Yeah, hopefully.
Let's make it crazy.
A little insane.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Awesome. Okay, so people, as a kind of, I guess you should be your own background. I just want to say that you're, I think we were just talking about it off recording, saying that it's been a while for all of us to be in contact, and so it's nice having you here. I just want to say that. So welcome to the podcast. Why don't you begin with your intro? I said we'll do like the native intro. So if you want to kick it off, start with yourself, your name, where you're from, and then go with your parents, where they're from, their names, where they're from, and if you want to go the extra generation, go for it.
Yeah, right on. So my name is Dwayne Manuel, and I come from the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community. And for those of you who don't know, we are the northernmost O'odham tribe out of the Sonoran area. And my mother is Alice Manuel. My father is Coleman Manuel. And my mother's mom is the late Audrey Santo and the late Wayne Santo. And then my father's parents are the late Lazarus Manuel and the late Hilda Manuel.
Cool. And where are they from?
They're all from Salt River with links to Gila River as well, you know, because we're all kind of related in that sense, but majority of them are from Salt River.
Cool. What's it like up there, the land? Like I think I've only driven through.
Salt River, it's a lot of fields. Well, right now, always been since I grew up is Salt River. We're really contained between the city of Scottsdale, Tempe, and Mesa. That's always kind of how it's been. Okay. And they constantly are pushing against our borders. And so if you were to look at a aerial map or aerial view, you would see that there's city and then there's like desert and barren landscape and a lot of fields though. So that's pretty much how Salt River is. And so we're pretty much developing along with the city as well. Like in the borders of my reservation, there's a lot of development that we're doing, like buildings. So there's like a lot of businesses that are still on our reservation land, but they're not mimicking the cityscape, right? So it's kind of barely kind of still the city or the urban landscape's kind of creeping in more and more into the reservation. So it's kind of getting interesting, and I'm curious to see how it goes within the next 50 years, what it's going to be like. Because real quick, we have just happened this year is our stop signs, you know, because we have our reservation is pretty much a grid, you know what I mean, squares. And so the tribe, well, I think it started last year, we have, I think they was having issues with people stopping but on our stop sign, so they put lights, little red lights on our stop sign. So essentially almost every stop sign has little red lights, so it's kind of interesting that...
So they're running them.
Yeah. Okay. And so, to remedy that, the tribe put those little lights on I think they're solar, so they charge all day. And then, but it's visually, it's interesting because at night, you know, I'm used to the regular lights of the houses and a couple street lights here and there, but now we have those they're blinking red stop lights. And so it's kind of talking about that kind of urbanization that's coming in. That's kind of where we're going now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you say there's like a lot of development going on right now, like besides that going?
Yeah, I think so. Because, you know, our tribe, we're constantly trying to, I'm not going to say compete, but we're making money, I guess you would say, you know, trying to stay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say compete anyways. You know, we're in the game essentially with the making money, and so they're constantly developing different stuff. And from what I know, what I hear is that there's already plans for certain stuff like 5-10 years from now that are already kind of being talked about or being worked on.
Cool. Well, I don't know. Is it cool?
It's cool. It's scary at the same time. You know, to me, you know, of course, as a O'odham person, I like to think traditional, or at least keep things how it should be. But then again, as an O'odham as well, it's in our nature to kind of grow or adapt to what's going on around us, and so that's what we're doing. Nice. And but I kind of fear for the younger children or the future. You know what I mean?
50 years down.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So I mainly brought you on as an artist. You know, a friend. You know, first and foremost, but an artist. You've got this really fantastic. I'll describe what I see, but I want to hear it in your words after. I see you as like a contemporary, because you use a lot of digital media, like a contemporary painter, traditional painter, because I see a lot of baskets. I see the cactus, the landscapes, the people, and I also kind of want to say it's a little abstract, because what I see is a lot of your characters and your I guess your subjects, they're what's the way to describe it? It's almost like caricatures. You know, there's pronouncing in the nose and the ears and the facial features, and I always love it. It's somewhat abstract, but maybe more. Why don't you say it? Why don't you tell us about your art, how you feel about it?
Yeah. Also, I think you're pretty much right on the money, but kind of describing my artwork. Depending on what I do, I kind of have a plethora, right, of styles, I guess you would say. But I still kind of hone in on certain styles and keep them going. But my abstract work is more. I kind of combined traditional autumn basketry or even hugum design work with what is called abstract expressionism, and that comes to my traditional painting. There's two, of course, traditional contexts: the traditional of autumn, like cultural, and there's also traditional painting, which is paintbrush and so there's so it's pretty much traditional painting versus digital painting. So digital painting is more contemporary or new, I guess you would say. Well, traditional painting is pen and brush, or brush and acrylic. So I try to merge those as much as I can, just to make things interesting. I'm not a traditional artist when it comes to like traditional art making, when like basketry, pottery, and things like that. I'm definitely a contemporary artist, so you hit it right on the money there. And when it comes to my like kind of more figurative stuff, like the characters you're talking about, I kind of draw more from graffiti culture when it comes to that part, because a lot of the graffiti characters are really like like you said, like over accentuate features and things like that, or like caricatures, like you were saying, or cartoons, essentially. So that's what I try to do. I try to merge that kind of style with realism at the same time. Like try to stick to like realism, like shadow, basic fundamentals of drawing from observation when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I try to mix it all. I try to keep it contemporary, not just keep it in one set genre, I guess you would say. I'm always trying to experiment, and the digital stuff has really pushed my work even further. Not even my work. I see whoever artists nowadays who haven't done it and started doing it. Actually, I was just thinking about this the other day. Is that there's something about moving over to the digital realm that really makes you think a little differently. It pushes you another direction. I don't know if it's motivating you a little more to keep working. I'm not too sure, but I can see it not only in my work, but I see it also in others as well. So it's interesting to see where it's going to be in the next, I'm going to say even 5 years, to see what happens with digital artwork.
Fast, So what I usually see of yours, like when I mention the digital, I usually see like those, you do like the cactus tree houses. I love those, and I think that became part of when you got the program. When it started, when I first started seeing it, I think you announced, I just bought this program. I think you called it Procreate.
Yeah, Procreate. Yeah.
And when you got that, I saw you started doing these real quick, I think I saw you do outlining sketches, which are really quick, and generalized shaping, and then I saw you go through the layers of developing the digital look to it. And so what I'm getting at right now, what I'm trying to search for is how many fields of media do you work on, and like kind of we'll get into how you started, but I'm saying like right now I see you doing murals, I see you doing the computer stuff, and then I also seen paintings on walls, like an actual hang on the wall paintings. Yeah. So like, what are you into right now? Like, what are you doing?
Right now, it's primarily muralism, like the painting on the actual murals. the digital work. Those are kind of the main two that I'm kind of focusing on right now. A lot of it may be because of the demand. So, so currently I'm working on a mural in Salt River, and I just actually came from doing 2 murals previous to that within the past 2 months. And if you know how long a mural takes, it does. It's been exhausting the past. By February was pretty jam packed. My March was jam packed, but it's kind of slowing down just a little bit because I'm kind of coming to the end of this current mural. But so the demand, you know what I mean? So because those jobs I got because the people reached out to me and they wanted a mural, so I was like, cool. I took the job. And then the digital stuff is because of what's the word? It's there. It's easy access. It's what's the word?
It's on hand.
It's tangible. I don't know.
Sorry, I lose words all the time, but it's there. Like, it's on my iPad. I could just pick it up while I'm kicking back on the bed and just draw. I don't have to set up my paints. I don't have to set up charcoal. I don't have to do all this cleanup and setup. I could just pull it out and charge my pen and start going at it. So I think the convenience, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. So the digital aspect is very convenient, and it's also satisfying. Well, it's convenient in many ways where I just, click, paintbrush, draw, whatever, color in, fill in. It's just so convenient. It just makes things. I kind of push the other stuff to the side and just focus on that iPad, which is kind of, what's the word? It's kind of making me more a machine, I guess you would say, as we go towards some technology, right? You guys talked about that before, cell phone use and stuff like that. So, but I'm trying to balance that. I think the muralism kind of brings me back to that traditional painting I was talking about with the brush, or spray paint, whatever I'm using. So those are kind of the major 2 things that I'm dabbling with, or not dabbling with, that I'm exploring more, is digital and the muralism. Yeah. And actually, I was just thinking the other day, I do need to set up a canvas and start painting some more. You know what I mean? Because it's been a minute since I painted a canvas.
Wow. Yeah. It seems like that would almost be like a step back because of the size. I don't know if they're always to scale when I see your paintings on the wall, but like they're huge. They're huge, and sometimes they'll take up multiple walls and services, and you're going all along the building. And I'm like, man, like beautiful. Like your use of color it's out there. Like, and I think that kind of relates to the whole tagging style. They use a lot of colors. A lot of lines, a lot of like busy stuff going on, and when I look at your work, I see bright, like if I were just going on colors alone, I'd say they make me happy, they make me feel interested when I see your work. Okay. And then your subject matter draws me in even more. It's like the last one I saw, you had it looked like a cut canal in a field of corn. Oh yeah. And it's spilling over, and then you got basket weavers, they're dancers, and they're catching water in their baskets, and it's spilling over, and then you have this like almost hidden maze behind the whole thing. Yeah. And then there's saguaro silhouettes going over that, and then it's also the color of a sunset. And I'm like, whoa! Like you could. I always appreciate your use of color when I first look at it.
Thank you, yeah.
And then my eyes start getting drawn around the corners and the sides, like, oh, what's he hiding here? What else is going on? So I'll say I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Which is a big part of why I wanted to come on, because it's like, man, your art's beautiful, and I want to hear you talk about it.
Well, yeah, for sure. Well, I have to give props, not props, but to academia for my color choice. Not only academia for going to school for art, but also, like you said, the graffiti. I'm glad you picked up that part, because graffiti also plays a big part in like how I've came from where I am today. Where I come from. So because I say academia because taking color theory classes, learning about color and how color works with one another. What happens when you put 2 colors next to each other or something like that. That's why I use those strategies a lot of my artwork. And then again, also with graffiti as well. At the same time, kind of merging those 2 ideas. And so. And with that, I'm glad you picked up on that, because color is a big part of my decision process. What I mean? Or making paintings. I think a lot about what color I'm going to put next to one another and things like that. And then I'm also glad you mentioned that you started looking for more in the painting. Yeah. Because that's that. I learned that in graduate school. Is what's called the 1-2 punch when it comes to art making. You put the first punch. This is that first reaction you get from a viewer. And then that second punch is when the viewer gets sucked in and they kind of start looking more, and then that's when that second punch comes in. They see, oh, okay, that's there too. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you picked up on that, because that's kind of the strategy I go about with the majority of my work, is that 1-2 punch.
Nice. No, it's definitely effective. Yeah. And well, you mentioned in school and academia. I know through Jen, my sister, that you went to AI was it American? I always mix it up. What does that stand for again?
The Institute of American Indian Arts.
Okay. And what I've noticed from the people I know that go there, they tend to get taken out of their comfort zone, and they get taken through the ringer, basically. And like you said, the basics, like. Maybe, like, I've seen artists, like you brought up Lioness. I don't know if you did already on the podcast, but you brought him up earlier. And I remember he was always drawing in school, like, constantly drawing, like he was lettering and doing, like, kind of like black metal stuff. Logos. And then he went to IA. And immediately, like, all artists that go through there, they get exposure to new mediums and techniques and theory, and his artwork exploded and became much more and like more I guess rounded, and not so focused, and or maybe he got the exposure, and then his own art came through with it, like taught him what he wanted to become. Like what did they do for you?
So I think you again, you hit it on the mark that you are getting exposed to all kinds of techniques, different theories, other artists, not only other artists like in the books, like art history stuff, but also other artists who are there with you who are also learning. So you kind of get exposed. It's this whole creative environment, and I remember before I went to IAA when I was in high school, one of my my math teachers, she went to IAA like in the 80s or something like that.
Cool.
And then she told me, you should go there. This school's for you. The people there are just oozing with creativity. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know what she meant until I got there. And kind of talking like that. You are amongst other creatives, so you're kind of all in to get together. But I think the programs. The art instructors, kind of talking from an art instructor background now, is that we are kind of, as an instructor, we are kind of there to push an artist, not only with their own skills, but also trying something new, trying something different, even thinking differently. And then you also get influenced by those instructors, because of course the instructors are creatives themselves, so they also have their own techniques and perspectives and stuff like that, so you kind of get influenced by them too as well. So you get all kinds of influences going on from those other creatives as well. I guess you could call them the old school creatives, those ones who like to teach. And so I think that's part of it. You know what I mean? It's a big part of it. You're just immersed in this whole creative environment and developing. I think a lot of it is you're developing, you're kind of growing by being exposed to all this different stuff. So that's cool you mentioned Lioness, because I remember Lioness. Shout out to Lioness, by the way, if he's listening. That I remember when he came in, he was doing a lot of like band logos, things like that. And then he started putting it in his artwork when it comes to like the school assignments, you know what I mean? So and I remember this one time he did a vehement logo painting, but he was experimenting with glow in the dark. And so he got that kind of mixture from one of the other artists that was going to school with us, and he one time I went to his dorm, he said, check it out. He had it hung up. He said, check it out. He turned the light off, and it was still glowing.
Very cool.
Yeah, Lioness is tight.
Well, I was gonna say, like, you go through some of these programs and you almost push yourself as an artist. So like, now that you've kind of experienced things and like your role as an artist, how does that influence, like, I guess, being Optum or being native? Like, do you have a struggle with like trying to show all of that on canvas, or I guess like those roles that you have, like how do you make sense of all that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to tell you like little. I'm going to go through my timeline real quick through my art background, or starting from is that when I went to IAIA, the Institute of American Indian Arts, Santa Fe, I went there and I had no interest in doing traditional art. When I say traditional, I mean like chiefs with headdresses, horses, things like Indian stuff, right? Yeah. I had no interest in doing that. I was more into expressing myself, and I was really into the darker part of art, like, I don't know, skulls, blood and gore. But then at the same time, trying to make a message out of that. So being there against all these Native American artists, right? Because it's like a little reservation when you they're all Native, majority of them are Native. So they're all bringing their cultures into the mix, right? So they're doing all kinds of stuff that's imagery that's from their cultures. Cool. And so it was cool. There's a lot of talented people there, but I wasn't into that, and I got a little bit of backlash for kind of what I was doing, like almost like I've heard people say, I didn't belong there because I wasn't doing Native art, but get out of here. But either way, it didn't stop me from doing it because I was there to make work, and I was there to learn, and also trying to get this degree at the same time. So fast forward to U of A. When I went to U of A to get my master's, I totally kind of stayed away from traditional Indianness when it comes to artwork. But then when I came to U of A, I found myself that I was now the minority again. Because I was at IIA, it was all natives. But when going to U of A, I was the only Native American, and the rest of them were majority, like Miyaragan, right? They're all a lot of people from the Midwest. So being there, I kind of felt like I had to represent who I was and, where I come from. But I also needed to do it, a typical artist way. I can't be... what's the word again? I'm losing my words here. I can't be cliche. That's the word. I had to think of another angle because something I learned too is you can't be cliche with your artwork. You kind of got to do something different. If you can do something that's kind of been done before, you got to do it differently or do it in your own way, do your own style, what have you. And so when I got there, going through the program, my master's program, I felt that I had to represent. I had to find something that I needed to talk about in my artwork, because at that point, that's the upper level. The master's program is upper level when it comes to artwork, so I had to dig deep and figure out what I was going to paint about. And so, I had this critique with, actually I was talking about him the other day, shout out Dmitry Kalzarev. He's a Russian painter who was the instructor at U of A, and he was a real hard ass. He'd tell you straight up. He didn't like something, he'd tell you that. And so I had this critique with him. One of my first critiques, he came into my studio, all my drawings up. At the time I was doing watercolor and charcoal or something like that, and a lot of dark stuff. I didn't really have content. Like I wasn't really thinking about what I was trying to express just yet. I was just kind of doing more technical, like I was layering on watercolor and doing charcoal. But it was a lot of dark imagery even then, and he was asking me about why it was so dark, and he said there was a lot of angst in my work, and I was like, I had really no answer for him, because I told him I was just experimenting and stuff like that, and he told me, well, he started going off of this list of artists, like through our art history, who've seen warfare, right? So they started painting about it in their artwork, and the warfare wasn't so obvious, but those paintings were about it. He's like, he told me, give me a list to check out, and think about what I wanted to. What and why I was painting, and so that kind of triggered. There was more to it, because I remember when he left, I felt kind of not hurt, but I felt like, damn, what am I doing here? There was a few moments like that during my master's program where I felt like I needed to quit because I felt like I wasn't good enough. So, but I rose to the occasion, and I started thinking about his talk about warfare and artists who saw warfare, and I started thinking about, okay, what have I seen throughout my life that I could make work about? And so I started thinking about my people, the Otham. I was always told that, the Pima, Salt River, that we have, or Salt River, Gila River, that we had the highest number of diabetes, right? And so I started thinking, okay, that's true, because I started thinking about all the people I knew that were chopped up, limbs missing. Of course, I had a great grandmother who I was scared of when I was little, because she had no legs and I think a couple fingers missing. So I always felt that was a little bit odd. So I was like, okay, so seeing these, then the other people I started thinking about, other people I've seen throughout my life that were like that, right? Wheelchairs, and even people I've seen that seemed healthy when I was younger, right? Big, tall guys. I thought they were just like strong. I seen them again 15, 20 years later, again, wheelchairs, chopped up. I was like, man, yeah, that's it's always bothered me, but I never thought about it like that, critically. I never thought about it critically. Yeah, cool. So at U of A, that's where I started thinking about stuff critically, and why the Otham were so prone to diabetes, and why it took us down so bad. So that's what I started thinking about, And so my my art making, that part played a big part of my art making. It wasn't so cultural, but it was about my people. You know what I mean? It wasn't traditional culture, but it was about health. Of my people. And so, through my research, I started doing all kinds of research about how, especially up where I'm from, Gila River, Salt River, how the taking away of the waters brought diabetes, because when the waters were taken away, the government came in and they brought us commodity foods. When we were traditionally agriculturists, we grew our own food. Farmers, exactly. And so that's pretty much those ties of the water being taken away, and then getting those foods, and how that led to diabetes. And so that opened my eyes. There was countless numbers of times where I was researching, reading. U of A has a really good archive of special collections, they call it, in the library, where you have all kinds of articles. You just got to go search for. That's what they call it, research, right? You got to look through all kinds of stuff. But they have all kinds of cool articles about those issues back then. And so I remember just reading stuff and being brought to tears, just reading about those things about my people, right? And so today I still kind of get choked up thinking about those times. So that was probably the part for me where I accelerated as an artist. I think I matured, I guess you would say. I always had a purpose for painting and drawing. Like, I felt like I always did things with a purpose. I just didn't do anything random just to do it. Of course I did, but there was always a purpose why I was drawing or painting something. And so being at U of A, getting my master's, it really matured me as an artist, and I started to think about my people a little more critically again. And at the same time, I did use imagery from Optum imagery and stuff like that in my work, just to as a tool for representing the people. Outside of just being a human, right? I could easily draw like a human, an obese human or something, to represent, of course, diabetes. But when you throw another context in there when it comes to either like a design work, it just kind of pushes a little further. You're kind of talking more about not only the person but actually the culture. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but it goes like that. And so that's how I use tradition. So then again, I'm kind of thinking about your question, is that my job as an artist, an Optum artist, or an indigenous or a Native American artist, what have you, is to not only inform but express, but I guess just to kind of show work that I think we all should think critically about our people and what we're doing, and not only like what we're doing now and the future, but also the past. We learn a lot from the past, and there's a lot of answers from the past, I think, that we can benefit from moving forward. Well, I guess that goes to that old quote. What do they say? Those who don't know history are bound to repeat it.
Interesting. So first, I got a question directly about what you were talking about, and then I want to go to your past. A while back, I think I was still in school over there, so it must have been 2012, 13, maybe 14, and you had a showing. What do they call it? A showcase?
Exhibition.
That's the word. So you were having an exhibition at the U of A Museum of Art. Is that what it was? Was that the same time you were doing your master's, or was that before you even went for your master's? Because it seemed like it was pre-master's.
I think I was at U of A from 2011 to 2014.
Okay.
So if it was after 2014, it was after, post U of A.
I think I started spring of 2014.
I think you messaged me. You were already there, so I was already gone.
I was kind of looking for you. But I can't remember when I saw it, but it was like...
What was the imagery? Do you remember what it was?
It was very, very funny looking, kind of like... they were... Again, I see them as caricatures because like they had the pronounced nose. Like they got like the shirt that's just over the belly button, and like they... I think a couple of them had feathers, or maybe it was a bandana. It looked native, but there was like it looked like a couple of little gangster dudes. But what blew me away, like right off the bat when I saw it, was how huge they were. They were like
massive.
They were like 10 feet, 15 feet tall, maybe 10 feet wide. Just huge. And I was like, holy crap! Like he does so much larger work than I thought. He's capable of this. whenever I do my own art, it was always like, you know, a little 8 by 10, or like at most maybe 15. You know, I'd push that little limit.
Yeah.
And then to see you fill up an entire wall, and I mean a big wall. They have high ceilings in the show there, and you filled it up, and I was like, whoa, massive. Yeah. And content. There was so much content, like a lot going on. And I was just curious when that came about. Was that during your master's program?
That was
when you got in the exhibition.
Exactly was. That was the the senior. That was the MFA Thesis Show. The exhibition that was our
MFA.
Yeah, the Master of Fine Arts.
Okay.
Yeah, that was our grand finale work that we did. So the work that you saw was my the accumulation of all my research. Yeah, so that big work, that was it. That sums up all my research.
It's a culmination.
A culmination?
The peak.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
I'm trying to throw all these words. You're searching for words. I'm going to throw some in there.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to turn my mic down a little bit. Okay, so that was very cool when I saw that. In my mind, I was like, all right, I know this guy. I met him, and I liked you. Like, right at the bat, I was like, man, I want to hang out with this guy because you're really, like, just fun-loving. You're nice to your lady and nice to strangers. You know, you just met me. You were nice to me, and I remember seeing your work in a exhibition. You know, in my mind, it was highfalutin. It was like, oh, big time. You're in the big time. You're right here in the museum. And I was proud. I was like, man, I know this guy. We're in the same tribe. Like another native artist making something of themselves, like not, you know, going the bad route, you know? Like it's so easy to go that route, but you're making something of yourself. And I remember thinking how proud I was, just going like wow, like not only of your skill and the magnitude of how huge they were, but also that you were doing something with yourself. And I was like, wow, like fantastic. And I hadn't even seen you since then, but it was like, man, somewhere out there, like my heart went out to you. I was like, man, I was like, good job, man.
Thank you.
I was like, yes, like yeah, brother, keep it up, represent. And so it was just good to see that. And again, when I see all your work, and I know they're going up in cities, like later on in a minute, I'll ask you about the competition or whatever that was that went on in it was either Glendale or Phoenix. But what I want to go to now is your past.
Okay. And
what I'm looking for or wondering about the beginnings of your artwork, like did you have like were you like for me, my dad, I consider him a famous native painter on the res and surrounding areas, and he influenced me. Like in my entire family, we got artists. Like, and it kind of happens on the res. There's a ton of artists out there. Yeah. Maybe not getting the recognition that you're getting, that you're going out and getting, but they're there and there's talent. Like, were you influenced by anyone down there? Like in your beginnings, like for me, my dad went to Vietnam, so as a kid, like as early as kindergarten, I was drawing war. Like I was drawing stick figure war, and it was like inspired by me trying to connect to my father. Like, do you have people in your family or maybe artists that you saw out there that have influenced your art or maybe even got you started?
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, there was definitely motivation, inspiration earlier in my days. So one thing I can say is that I have been drawing since I was little. One of my earliest memories is having a pencil, standing up by a window. You know what a window is, right? And sometimes the window sill has a little ledge, and so you can imagine how young I was right there, knowing how big I am now. That I was able to stand up against the window and draw. And I remember watching. It was early in the morning. I think my dad was leaving to work or something. That's one of my early memories, drawing, standing against that window sill.
Nice.
But my mother, of course, has always been a big inspiration. She's a basket maker, a traditional basket maker from Salt River. And I remember one of the earliest things she showed me how to draw was a turtle shell, like the back, the design. That's one of the earliest memories, again, I have of her teaching me how to draw those. Real simple, you know what I mean? Simple turtle shell. And then my dad too was also an inspiration because he did little doodles on you remember the old school TV guide, which probably we don't have those anymore. Those young cats don't know what the old school TV guide is. You know, there's always that image, like of course a cover of some kind of TV show, but he was always get a black pen and just draw stuff on them. Like, he would do like mustaches, missing tooth, whatever, tattoos, horns, just all I always thought that was funny. And he would do little doodles here and there, like, I don't know if he was bored or something at the house. So my mother and father, they always had kind of this creative spirit. My mother especially, though, because she was a basket maker. My dad, it would come out here and there. Like, he wasn't really like into it or anything like that, but he was. And he also was one of the first persons to show me how to sharpen my pencil just using a knife, right? You know what I mean? So I remember just that. Oh, also he also showed me how to sharpen a pencil just by scraping it against the paper, right, to kind of get to that sharp point.
Tip.
Yeah, exactly. So those two are definitely one of my probably the earliest inspirations or motivations to do what I was doing. And then everybody else, my sister would like to draw. I remember she was always drawing when she's my older sister, by the way. So I remember seeing her drawing, writing her name, practicing her name. This is old school stuff, right? Practice writing her name. So stuff like that. I was around. And I just kind of kept going. It's just something I had to do, something I needed to do for some reason.
What was your content like then?
Skulls. Honestly, I remember I was drawing skulls. But I remember that another earliest things I was into was drawing Ninja Turtles. Right, the toys. So I was really into Ninja Turtles back in the day.
Hell yeah.
Growing up as a little kid. Yeah. So I remember drawing Ninja Turtles. And one thing's funny is that I always found it was hard to draw their hands, because they had the sword, done until it had the stick and stuff like that. So what I would do for hands is I would just draw a swirl like that. So they were holding their size or their swords, but there wouldn't be like a hand. I would just draw like swirls like that, just to kind of show that they're embracing their thing. So that's what I mean. That's interesting to think about. So that was my content back in the day, just like stuff I was into, stuff I liked. Snakes. I always like drawing snakes because I'm into reptiles. But I do remember skulls. I always thought skulls were cool for some reason. I definitely one of my life goals or on my bucket list is to get some kind of cool ass skull tattoo. I want to have it designed by some other artist, though not me. I want to have somebody who can do some badass skull art.
Nice.
Get it tattooed on me. I don't know.
Sweet.
And a snake tattoo, but.
Maybe a skull with a snake.
Exactly. I always liked Vega's tattoo on Street Fighter. Vega, that snake all around his body.
Cool.
Get an anaconda for that.
So you started with pen and pencil, probably. When did you start dabbling, or when did you start transferring into paint?
Okay, so I remember my first acrylic painting I did was probably in high school.
Cool.
And Desert Eagle, I went to a school called Desert Eagle Secondary School in Salt River, and so I graduated in 2002. So I probably did my first acrylic painting in 2001, I think, and that's just because they had I think they bought a bunch of excess art materials. We never have an art class, It's just that the art class was the hangout for all the bad kids.
Yeah.
So coincidentally, the people who like to do art would just sit in there and we just draw and hang around and stuff like that. They always we didn't really have a teacher. We'd have some people who come in and kind of watch us. Some teachers did know a little bit about art and they'll show us a thing or two, but majority of the time we're kind of just hanging out and just BSing. But me and my friends, we did draw a lot. We did a lot of graffiti stuff, mostly drawing graffiti. But I did.
Sorry, is that where that came in?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, but a little bit before that, I think in '98 was when I first kind of picked up graffiti. But at DE, Desert Eagle, that's where I first got the paint, though, because they had excess paint. They were, here, do something with this. Because they gave me some paint brushes. They had like a canvas board, and I was all right, cool, let's try something. I can't remember exactly what it was that I painted, but.
Do you think people by then knew you were gonna do something with art?
Actually, I see some friends every now and then, like currently, and they'll be like, "Yeah, man, I'm so proud of you. We always knew you were gonna do something." Thank you. It makes me feel good. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was just doing what I felt I wanted to do, and that's always I had that need to draw or something. Mainly draw. That was kind of my thing. And so, I do have friends who kind of say that to me every now and then when I see them around and stuff like that. They're like, I always knew you do something like this. Because some people are like, man, you're big time. I was like,
where's music tied into all this? Because I think when we talked about Lioness, and he was kind of our brother, but he was sort of our guitar brother as well, because we kind of learned from him. And then when he met you, you were teaching him a lot of stuff. So, like, were you always just badass at guitar too? Or I guess where does music tie into the art?
Music. So music kind of came through. Well, I didn't start playing music until my younger brother. Shout out to Douche. He picked up the bass at high school. That's his name, Doucher. We call him Doucher. Duchesne is his real name. But he started playing the bass in high school as well. I think he just kind of needed something for him to do. He went to the music room. He didn't want to take any electives or something like that, he said. And so they put him in the music room, and the music teacher said, hey, did you play with this bass in the back? While the other kids learned music. So he just played the bass. He said he liked it. And he just kind of messed around with it. So he brought that home. And, I just started messing around with it, playing the bass, and he's like, yeah, just try it, play around with it. Oh, okay, cool. I thought it was cool. Because I already liked metal, rock and roll, and things like that. And so kind of moving back a little bit further, growing up, my father was really into rock and roll, the 70s stuff, right? Classics, Kiss, things like that. So I grew up listening to that stuff. And then my mom was really into the old school, like Righteous Brothers and things like that. But then she also listened to the traditional music, like the Shake and Scratch, even the Optum songs, so I was introduced to all that already. I kind of had a taste for it already. It wasn't until my sister, who was older than me, she brought in the hip hop and rap into the house because she was older and she was kind of already experiencing that for her generation. Yeah. So that's where I kind of got into graffiti, is because she would bring in those Source magazines. You remember the Source? Yeah. The old school ones would have a section called Graphics in the back, and they showed different murals from, of course, New York and shit like that. Yeah. So I remember when I saw those, I looked at music because I was already liking what she was listening to. She brought a Snoop Dogg, all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I look at those magazines just to see, those rappers and things like that. But then when I found to that back page, where that Graphics page, I was like, oh, what is this? I was like, wow, it's art. It's colorful, and you could tell it's huge because it'll show people standing next to the murals. And I was like, dang, this is. Wow. That blew me away. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I first got into graffiti, is seeing those in the magazines. That was probably like 96, 97. And then 98 where I finally noticed that I can do it, because when we go into town, I would see the tags. And I automatically had that link that even though they were different from a mural, I knew that those tags were related. Just the basic tag. I knew they were related. But so that's where the hip-hop influence came in. But back to the rock and roll stuff, the metal was from my father mainly, but my brother, he kind of routed out into punk, and we kind of always shared music with each other, my brothers, and so he brought the punk element because he was more into that, and so I just merged rock, heavy metal, punk, and then I met some other friends. Shout out to Kellen and Pony Boy. They introduced me to death metal, and that's what really kind of really got me going. It was death metal. There was just something so energetic about somebody just screaming in your ear. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, heck yeah. There's something just energy about it. So I latched onto death metal. That became my thing, was death metal. So the instruments, started off playing bass. Didn't know jack shit about it, but my brother said, just do this, put stuff together. And so I play around, and then he showed me how to read tabs, not read music, but just read tablature. And I was like, okay, this is easy. I got it pretty fast. And then I jumped into guitar from there, and guitar was a little. I was didn't really like it too much because I have big fingers. I'm a big guy, so bass was the one I played with because you can play with your fingers. But then guitar, of course, there's smaller strings, so you had to kind of hold things closer together. So I kind of had trouble with the guitar at times. I still kind of do, but so that's where that came in. And then we didn't start a band until 2000, and probably I graduated high school. 2004, I think, my first band called Scalped. We were a grindcore band with my buddy Kellen, who introduced me to death metal. Actually, my brother Douche too. He played drums, so we're just banging around, playing this grindcore music and screaming around and stuff. So that's kind of how music came into play with my life. Yeah. Dang. And then of course I started doing the logos and things like that too. So me and Lioness just kind of kicked it off automatic. We were both Optum, right? And then we both like death metal. And we both like drawing those logos. Yeah. So that's how that all came into play. Okay.
Wow. Do you think any part of that death metal was part of the darkness of your art, or do you think there was some other?
I think so. I think because I was already doing kind of dark stuff. That's why what drawn me to the dark side. Joining the dark side, right? So I think so. I think that's why I liked it. It was just something I was always into. It's just
you're like any death metal album. Some of the ones back in the day were pretty A lot of skeletons, a lot of...
Yeah, a lot of...
Yeah, the vehemence, that goat head, skull.
I don't know if you ever seen it's called the Circle of Bitches, and they're all like...
I don't think so.
I'll find it, but it's like all the heads and the hands are all...
Oh, yeah?
They're all stuck together.
I love looking at that.
Circle of Bitches, yeah.
My favorite album cover I always thought was cool was, I don't know if you've seen the Cannibal Corpse Live Cannibalism album cover. There's just weird guys, like, walking on these stilts, and those stilts are just sharp, pointy things, like walking on these bodies. I always thought that was just some kind of crazy imagery.
They had a lot of those.
Yeah, of course, their covers are amazing. But that one just something stuck with me for some reason. I don't know why. Just the guy walking on stilts, sharp stilts through these bodies is just kind of... The
Iron Maiden posters, when growing up, used to freak me out. Just because my uncles would have them up, and they would just, like a rat... getting cheese or something.
I love the Iron Maiden.
Crazy stuff, but
inspirational as well.
I think of, cool.
Oh man, Iron Maiden is a big influence too as well. I mean, I still jam to Iron Maiden to this day. It's one of my favorites. I've never seen them live yet, but I like.
I haven't seen them.
I don't know if I want. Well, I don't know if I want to. I like the old days. I just know them from their old stuff, but I still I would. I love to see them live. I just never had the chance to.
Cool. I wonder, it's crazy that you mentioned that graphics section. I wonder how much, like, maybe even subconsciously, that kind of led to your life now, like that you're on the side of buildings, man. Huge jump.
Yeah, that's right.
That's very cool to hear that part. I was like, oh, damn, it might have been the seed, the seed. Maybe, I don't know.
What about the lowrider? Did you ever get the?
Oh yeah, all those tattoo style stuff.
Yeah, the art word.
Lowrider art. I love I love it, man. I used to get those too. Those are tight. Those are my favorites. And kind of talking about, I don't know if you guys remember the Rollin' Hard shirts. I don't know if you guys ever see those. I remember the cool graphics on the back with the "Smile Now, Cry Later." And stuff like that. Those are always my favorites too. I love those shirts. Just the artwork. I just love the artwork. And that kind of relates to the lowrider art stuff.
Yeah. What is it? Is that the homies? The little homies?
Yeah, the same category. The homies. Those are too cool too. Yep.
No, I missed that. I missed that. I missed those. I missed that era. I don't really see that much.
Not anymore, no.
I was going to say, is that still going on? Because I haven't seen that.
I think it's different now.
I used to see it at the store, and I'd go right to just the artwork. And man, the cars, like, there's really ton of cars in there, old school cars.
Yeah, it's different now, but that's the same era I remember growing up in too, is that stuff. Actually, I want to do a shirt of... kind of talking about the Rollin' Hard is I want to do maybe more like a Autumn or an indigenous style T-shirts like that, where there's really full graphics, lots of things going on, some kind of cool quote. I don't know what I'm gonna put on there, but
man,
I'll rock that shirt.
Res deep or something. I don't know, something kind of cool, some kind of native and.
I always think when people make their own shirts, they fall short of the potential that they had.
Yeah.
You got the whole real estate of a shirt, and then they'll do like just this, or they'll leave the whole front of the shirt blank, and then they'll have this big thing on the back. And it's like, give me something. If I'm walking up to you, I'm not going to look at the back of your shirt if you have nothing on the front.
Exactly.
So I can imagine. I can only imagine if you do a shirt, how fantastic it would be! Like,
I want to.
Man, I agree. That sounds cool as hell.
You're essentially billboarding, right? You're showing off.
Yeah. Like somebody, like I can imagine just putting on that shirt and be like, like feel. It's almost like a brand new haircut, you get that haircut, you just kind of, I just want to walk and like, see how let the people love it, like I could imagine putting that shirt on going, got into the Dwayno Insano original, that'd be cool, man. I'm looking forward to it, man.
We'll see. Well, with the digital realm I'm in now, I could do it more easily now.
Very cool. I'd like to see it.
I guess, do you have a drive to do like more fashion stuff, or is that?
Good question. It's a good question. I don't have a drive, as I guess most people think I should. Right? I'm more into the expression of fine art, muralism, things like that. And the stuff I do that's kind of more for sale. like consistently is the stickers. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I probably really do. Is that.
Beautiful.
But I would like to. I just don't have the drive. I guess you say that. Now that we're talking about it, we're talking about doing that, but I've never done it yet. I've done a couple shirts with collaboration with other people, but nothing on my own that I really wanted to push. And it's something I may do.
I'll put it out there right now. Guaranteed, you will do well. Like guaranteed, it'll do well. Just, whatever paint, you buy your paint with it, whatever. Like, pay for the paint with your shirt or something like, and I'm sure it'll be more than that, but. Yeah. Do it. Please do it. Okay. So I can get a shirt, or shit, I'll send you a shirt. Make me a shirt like something, man. I want to see that.
Word.
Very cool. Very cool. Like, with the stickers, like, you did this, like, metallic reflective, and they were like unraveling baskets and all that. Like, is there some kind of connection with your mom and that when you were doing that?
Or was
it more? Yeah. Was it tradition or was it like your mom?
All the basket stuff was essentially always kind of inspired by my mom or motivated by my mother, and hearing her, not only her practice in it, but just hearing about her talk about how she feels about the artistry of it. You know what I mean? And also keeping it going, the whole act or the whole art of the basketry. So, but everything pretty much Autumn inspired is always her and my grandmother, essentially. What they taught me and how they went about things. So they're definitely strong hand in hand or ties to what I do with the cultural aspect of my artwork.
Very cool. All right. Damn, where do we go from there?
So are you doing any music?
No, I was curious. I saw that photo.
I do. I wish I could. Just making the time to do it and being inspired to do it. There's a lot that plays into getting together with the bandmates. Right, my brother Dusher, he still does it. He kind of does his own thing. Like as far as like concept wise, he's writing always. He's always doing playing music. I just haven't had the time to really play any kind of instrument. Like I have a guitar, but I haven't touched it. It's a bunch of dust. And actually, I saw it the other day. I looked at it. And there it is. And then I was like, I'll get back to you. When I have some more free time. But I love making music. I even made my own stuff when I was at IAIA. I bought a 4-track one time, and I just had a bass. And I remember I was just recording off of a 4-track, and I was just playing drums on like this metal desk I had and making the beat. I would do the bass line, record it, did some screams over it and stuff like that. But I would like to, you know what I mean? It's just they're making the time for it. And
did you guys have a band in Mexico when you were?
Yeah, actually, what was it called? When I was in Santa Fe, the Diana Ross Brigade.
Oh, it
was like a hardcore / metal punk outfit.
I remember the MySpace.
The MySpace. The MySpace days. The DRB, we called it, called ourselves. It was me. I was backup vocals and guitar, and then my buddy St. Luther, he was the vocals, and then my brother Dusher was the drums. So the hard part was, since Dusher was drums, he was in Salt River. We only played shows when we came out here, but me and him, we practiced the hell out of our songs, me and St. Luther, because we were both in Santa Fe.
Nice.
And we would come over here for a show, we just practiced with Douche, and Douche was pretty good at the drums, so he just picked up real easy.
Yeah.
And my music I was writing at the time was real punk rockerish, so real simple stuff, so he picked it up pretty fast, but it was fun. Actually, the DRB was one of my favorite projects. We had a song called The Make Rib Is Back. Do you remember the McRib?
Yeah.
They made a second one called the McRib is Back Part 2. The McRib is Back.
Oh, man.
But actually, one of my favorite songs we made. You guys wrestling fans? You guys know much about wrestling?
Like WWF?
WWF. Pre-WWE. There's this wrestler named Viscera. Do you remember Viscera?
I don't.
This big stricter guy. He was wearing like contacts, like snake eye or dots.
We
made a song about Mohawk. We had made a song about him called the Viscera, and it was one of my favorite ones ever. Real quick, we also made a song called Arnie versus Sly. You know that age-old question, Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sly. Who would you pick? Anyways, when we perform it, we did our version of the Wall of Death, right? St. Luther would tell people to get on one side, but he'd say, if you're for Arnold, you get on this side. If you're for Sly Stallone, get on this side. And when we start, you guys get the pit started. And so that was one of my favorites. That was fun. That was real fun.
Yeah, that's pretty creative.
Yeah, you're smiling really.
I haven't talked about it in a minute, but memories, really.
Do you still have some recordings later on?
MySpace days, those were on there. I don't think so. No, I haven't checked on MySpace in years. So I think they kind of probably erased a lot of stuff.
They're not doing so well. Yeah, they're not doing so well.
But my brother may have some Sinking in Shit recordings. That was the other band I was in with him. We were a 5-piece, Sinking in Shit. That was another favorite part of my music journey, was the Sinking in Shit days, we call them. And he might have some recordings of that too.
Nice. Well, I'd like to hear them. It sounds fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun to hear, and maybe when you were making it, a ton of fun.
Well, one thing that a lot of people don't know, I like to talk about that people should know, actually, now I think about it, is that Salt River, where we're out from at the time, we had a little music scene going, a DIY music, punk, grind, thrash type music scene, and we had actually quite a few bands that came in. We had maybe 2 venues. They were house shows, by the way, so there were these houses, and we had actually some bands. First band that came in was this band named Lioness from Germany. They were touring the United States, and they were like a grindcore band, but they played there. We had quite a few. This one time we had this band named Japandi from California, and they were more like, they weren't really metal. They were more like the instrumental type, indie type rock. But they played in this place called the Hell House, which was actually my uncle's house, and he just let us play shows there. He didn't care. He was all about having fun, and he let everybody come. Anyways, they played there, and this monsoon came at the same time, because it was outdoors. And that was so perfect. So the music, the style of music they're playing, with this monsoon coming in, this dust, it was beautiful. It was almost like once in a lifetime moments. But stuff like that. So Salt River, we did have a strong little music scene happening between the years of probably 2005 and 2010.
So you think that kind of went out, or
everybody kind of just got older. You know what I mean? Everybody got families. They kind of got doing their own thing. People kind of grew up. So, naturally, everybody. Exactly. So, everybody just kind of did their own thing, and no one else kind of picked up the torch. You know what I mean? To kind of keep stuff like that going. Yeah. It was good. And we even had a couple of TO bands come through. Shook Gox. Fractured. Played a couple times. Maybe a few other ones. But it was a real cool time, man. I wish I had more photos of it. And the photo I did send you, me playing the bass, that was from that era.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Okay. Me and Sky were talking about it, like, as a way of getting a little more exposure. Like, way back when he did Skyfest, or he wanted to call it something else, but it was like Skyfest, and we've been talking like, man, we want to like sponsor a new thing, and it might have to be at someone's house. Like, I don't know if anybody in sales, the government's basically shut down, or like what do they call it, a skeleton crew? Yeah,
skeleton crew.
So, trying to get anything done entertainment wise and gathering wise is probably out of the question. But it's like, man, we want to infuse it. We want to revive it. Like there's, I think one thing that leads people down that darker path of like despair and like the drinking and all that. And I'm not against the drinking entirely, like at the show or whatever. But like, if there were more outlets for creativity and rage or whatever people are feeling, it's music, it's art, and we're all about that. We want to bring that up. And I was thinking, like, if you could revive something out there in Salt River, we'll go over there too. Like, we'll bring it over. Like, it'd be really cool to see. Like art right now is getting big. Like muralism, like as you're calling it. I'm seeing a lot of it in Tucson. They're doing a lot of it. The Res started doing some things, like the side of Bashes. I don't think you were on that one. No, I wanted to ask if you were part of the one of the sales district office.
No,
because that really, like, it looked like your colors.
By the bridge, though, was it?
I did the bridge one. The words. I did that one.
I want to see that touched up, man.
I saw it.
I kind of like seeing stuff like crumble, but at the same time, I liked seeing that. Yeah. Like, every time I went over the bridge, I was like, that's way better than having a bare cement wall. And I was like, those are beautiful. And when people added to it, like, if they respected the original and added to it, there's nothing wrong with that. Exactly. Like, I love it. It's taking part of art, and like, again, it's an outlet. It's this huge outlet that people need, and without it, like, we kind of fall apart. We kind of, get lost on our paths here. And like when you have music, like whenever I'm feeling these hurtful feelings and it's like I want to hurt myself or people, the music can draw that out of me and just kind of let that go by the wayside and kind of relieve that tension that I have. And I think it's huge and important for all of us, like as natives, as TOs, as young men and women. We need an outlet. Yeah. And especially with this whole COVID crap going on, like it's shut down the world basically, and we're under the guise of being safe, we're being separated from each other. So it's like music and farmers markets, like they're doing. It's like a revitalization of reconnection, and I think it's huge, and that we should work on it. I've said it several times. We're the adults now. Yeah, it's on us. Like I know you're a very busy man, but I bet you could influence. Like, hey, at the finalization of a new mural, we'll put a show on in front of the mural or something like that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just something. Just. I'm trying to plant a seed in your mind. I see what you're saying. Think about it. Think about it.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. I like it.
That reminds me of I can't remember what band it was, but somebody asked him about death metal and what they felt about the negative aspect of it, and he said simply that if Jeffrey Dahmer had a death metal band, he wouldn't have cut up and ate all those people. You know what I mean? Getting that stuff out. So we might with stuff like this, we might be preventing some kid from chopping somebody up and eating it. Or anything else bad.
Yes, right? Absolutely. All right, I wanted to go back to your muralism. I see it as a big deal. Somebody's investing in you and also your art, basically saying we believe in you, but saying, hey, please take my wall and do something with it. Like when I see it, I see it as a huge deal. By now, you're probably like, oh, another mural, But I'm kind of curious, like your first mural and how you got, how did it become? Like were you doing those giant paintings that I saw at the exhibition? Were you already doing murals before you even got that size? Like I'm asking, how'd you transition into muralism?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, totally. So I have to give, again, a big shout-out to the whole graffiti aspect, because the graffiti helped me learn and know how to paint large. You know what I mean? Because graffiti, you had to paint large on the wall anyways already. So it wasn't until I mixed graffiti with the autumn basket paintings. So when I mixed those two, that's what became the large murals of the basket designs. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it started. And that was probably my first one I did. Was probably like in 2011, I think, maybe the first basket design. I have a homie named Rito. Shout out to Rito. He said, hey, I got a wall in my backyard. Do you want to paint it for fun? You know what I mean? I was like, yeah. He's like, whatever you want to do, go ahead. I was like, well, I've been thinking about how I can kind of push these basket designs a little further. And he's like, do it. He's like, you go ahead. He's like, I'll buy you the paint. I was like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? So I met up with him and he bought some paint. And then he just said, yeah, go ahead. And so I just started doing it. So I approached it the same way I'd approach a canvas, because it was essentially a big canvas anyways. So, but at this time I was using spray paint and using graffiti techniques to do that. And so once I did that one, it just opened my world again, to what I can do next. And so after that, I just kind of kept going with that whole, the merger of graffiti art with the basket paintings. So that's how I kind of got to learn how to paint on a larger scale, was through that process. And then later on I would only do things with spray paint, because it's easier, it's faster to create a large mural with just spray paint. But then of course I can't always do that for like inside walls inside a business or something like that, because those fumes, a lot of people who are sensitive to those fumes, they get headaches and get sick, stuff like that. So I had to resort back to my traditional teachings of the brush and the acrylic. And so that's where I started mixing that into the mix. When I'm muralism, is using the brush and the acrylic, which takes a lot longer than the spray paint. But it also you also could do a lot more detail work with the paint and brush than the spray paint can. So I kind of jump back and forth. But so to this day I can do both now in an adequate amount of time. Depending. So a lot of my indoor work is usually acrylic with brush. Very rarely do I get to use spray paint inside of a building. Sometimes it depends, but a lot of indoors are acrylic and brush. Well, the outdoors are usually spray paint. That's your question.
Yeah. So I went to visit my sister when she was over there. And I saw this. I think it was. I'm trying to see it in my mind. I want to say it was blue and white, and it was baskets, and it was on like this little, probably 10 by 12 foot wall right in the dormitories. Was that yours?
Yeah, that was mine.
I feel like I hadn't heard from you in a while. Years had passed, and I saw that, like, it caught my eye first. I was like, whoa! Like, I stopped and looked at it, and then I think I saw your signature, and I was like, whoa! Like, it's him! Like, he's doing it, and he left his. Like, I think you were already long gone from AIA, and then I saw it, I was like, wow, even though you're gone, you're still here. And I thought that was really cool. What was the question? Damn it.
You're okay.
Okay, so, the guy, your buddy, he bought your paint in the beginning, so it sounds like it was for free.
Yeah.
When did you start doing commission work?
Commission work, okay. Yeah. So I think... So there was quite a few jobs from that point when it comes to painting. Kind of my friends is like rooms or their game rooms or like that where they would buy the paint. Yeah. And that paint ain't cheap anyways. But I always knew that I had to kind of get my portfolio up before I could start charging kind of the big bucks, I guess you would call it. So I did that. I kind of went through that of just getting my portfolio up, also getting my name out there at the same time, which is the big thing I think artists should do if you're up and coming, is to throw your name out there, even if you're just up and coming. But also, again, kind of have some self-awareness to your abilities and where you're at in your career. If you're just starting, you shouldn't be, in my opinion, asking for top dollars. I mean, it's romanticized. I mean, you should as an artist, but you got to kind of be realistic, because that day will come, which is that happened to me. I knew I just had to build up my portfolio, which is the big thing for me. Getting that, also the experience, learning how to paint this wall in a certain amount of time. So I was probably like maybe 4 or 5 kind of major paintings I did before I kind of got into the work. Because another thing is, again, putting your name out there, it wasn't until people started seeing I was doing these large murals, the basket design, says, hey, we should get that in like our business, or inside the majority of them are inside like on the res, if they saw it, they like it, because of course it's cultural, what I mean? Also, there's a lot of color, there's art. So, that's what I was trying to build towards, is kind of getting that exposure after I kind of built up my portfolio. And then, it started happening, and people started seeing them after I post them online, and they were like, hey, those are cool, these are cool. And a lot of people will say, yeah, I haven't seen them like this before. They're like, okay, cool, that's what I wanted. I wanted them to kind of see what I was doing. That way, if they wanted one, they could reach out to me. And then I could start gradually upping my price as we move forward. Yeah. I can't really say when. I can't remember. I'm trying to think about the first kind of big painting I did that was kind of like for a department where I kind of got top dollar, or the asking amount. There might have been a couple, I think, but they're pretty much all basket designs. Because that's what people wanted. The demand was there again, and so after that it just took off, and most people saw more and more. And then it wasn't until I got that Nike deal where I had to up my price. I'll tell all my friends, once I hit that Nike thing, once that landed on my lap, like, yeah, man, you should up your price a little more. Like, okay, because of course I felt I did maybe earn it, because it was just going through all that stuff. You know what I mean? I was paying my dues. What I mean?
I gotta ask, you gotta clarify, what was the Nike
deal? The Nike deal, the Nike stuff. So in 2014, I was actually at U of A, and I was finishing up actually at U of A, but Super Bowl was coming to Phoenix, Arizona in 2015, and so Nike, they were looking, or they started this campaign where they were making this apparel for the Phoenix Super Bowl 2015, and they wanted to give recognition to the indigenous people of the land, and so they came to Salt River. I'm not too sure exactly the specifics of how they did, But I give a shout out to Robert Johnston. He's the one who kind of came to me because he actually worked with Nike before. It might have been him, but they were asking for artists from Salt River, to work with them to make some apparel for the Super Bowl. And so they approached me through him, and he hit me up one day. He's like, "Hey, Nike's looking for somebody." And then I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." I didn't. Well, I knew him, so it was legit. I knew it was legit. So okay, cool. Give him my email, give him my number, whatever. Then we'll go from there. He said he couldn't tell me because he didn't know either. And so when they reached out to me, they didn't tell me exactly what it was for, but they told me on the premise of what was happening. And okay, cool. And they're like, if you're interested, we're gonna send you what's the form?
Invoice?
Not the invoice.
The
form,
W-9?
Not the W-9. The form you had to sign, but you can't tell nobody about it.
Disclosure?
Some kind of disclosure.
Non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, agreement. Yeah, before. So I didn't know what I was doing before I even...
Wow.
They made me sign that before they could tell me exactly what I was going to be doing. So it was kind of scary because, what do they...
If you tell anyone,
am I signing your ass? Yeah, exactly. Am I signing my soul away?
Yeah.
So okay, so all right, so I'm gonna, it's Nike, so I was like, I'm just gonna do it. But what's the worst that can happen, right?
Yeah.
So I sign it, send it in. Exactly. So I sign it, and then that's when they tell me what was going on. So what happened is they originally had this Navajo artist who they already had it kind of already all mocked up. They had all the designs, stuff like that, and they showed me them. But they said through their research they found out that the Navajos ain't from that area, and so I was like, yeah, that's correct. This is my people's homeland. So, anyways, they're like, okay, so they found that out, and so that's so they're doing this really last minute approach to getting an artist, and so I signed on, and that's when okay, so they were going to make some shoes. Oh, actually, the first thing they were going to do was this jersey that they were going to give out to only a few people that they weren't really going to sell, and so when they made the jersey, they decided that they liked the design work, and they made a shirt, a hat, and then 3 pairs of shoes, and then a jacket with all design work. Majority is all my design work in there. Wow. But there weren't there's only certain areas sometimes that were on certain parts of the jacket that there's only the artwork. But either way, they had my fingerprint in there.
Wow.
And so the shoes were the ones that leaked first. I think the image of the shoe,
wasn't you. You signed
exactly.
the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
And then, but they came on and told. They had some kind of certain event in Salt River, like a youth event, and they gave a shout out to me, saying that I designed the stuff for them. And so after that, they kind of. This is probably maybe a month or two before the actual Super Bowl, because in the agreement I wasn't supposed to tell anybody, I think, until the day before Super Bowl, and so the word already started getting leaked out and stuff. I remember my mom, she thought, did you really do some work with Nike? And I was like, yeah. They said, how can you tell me? I was like, I couldn't tell you. And so anyways, so that's kind of how the Nike stuff happened, and so. It's still online. There's some stuff being sold on eBay if you ever look. It's called the Desert Journey Collection, Super Bowl Desert Journey Collection 2015, Dwayne Manuel. And so, that's how pretty much the Nike stuff happened. And it was just a one-time thing, once in a lifetime probably. And so, it came and gone. But there's still stuff out there, and I still see people post about it sometimes. They'll post the shoes and things like that.
Cool.
So what's cool is I think I made a lot of people proud. And because a lot of people were in it, I remember I got a lot of props from that. And actually, I did get my social media blew up from that. I got a lot of jobs afterwards from that. A lot of people reaching out to do artwork, and so it was a cool experience.
Wow.
But I never really wore Nike stuff, anyways. I'm not really that type of guy. But I do want to say that Nike made a lot of promises that they didn't come through with because they weren't really it wasn't in the contract, so they don't have to come through like they want. They said they would give me a pair of everything. That was my stuff on there, and they were going to give a jersey to each one of my family members, and that never came through. So and talking to people, they say they can say stuff. They'll say stuff like that, like a corporation will say stuff like that, but they won't come through. They're not required to.
Verbal promises. There.
Yeah. So it's all like, man. fuck Nike. No, I can't say that, but they did cut out my career a little bit more, which was cool. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for that, and it was a good experience. Wow. And I did get a lot of backlash from it, anyways, too, from community members, not only my community, but Gila River, TO, and stuff like that, just for the use of the imagery that are on there, like the man of the maze and things like that. You guys did that together.
We helped,
yeah, because it's like you're putting yourself out there. You're creating something, and it's going to the masses, and people are seeing it. But then there's always still a critical eye, and you should have did it this way, or if I were you, you should have did this. And so it's like. What I've learned in school is like you can write one poem and 50% of the audience is gonna like it and the other 50 is gonna hate it. So you just kind of gotta just stay to the people that are gonna hate it because you can never change their minds of the people that don't like it. So don't even put your energy towards that. But I mean.
That's a good way. That's a good way.
A lot of artists can say that they have a partnership with Nike. So it's like, damn, man.
Yeah, and exactly. And it kind of shows you makes you ask yourself, like, why are you doing this anyways? Like how you're saying with the poetry, just because people hate it, are you going to stop doing it? You know what I mean? But it's something you probably got to do. So that's how I felt too. And I had a lot of feedback via social media, people sending messages like, what I was doing was wrong. I got a lot of it, by the way. I didn't really answer any of them. I looked it up and was like, I knew already that there was going to be some backlash, so I prepared myself not to kind of fall into those traps, arguments and things like that, because I knew where I was at and I knew why I did it, and I also knew that, people were saying I was a sellout, you know what I mean? And so I don't think I was a sellout because the designs I was doing on there, I was already doing before Nike. And I knew it was something I was going to keep doing after. A sellout to me would be somebody who kind of changes their style or changes their approach to fit. To sell something, right? And so I didn't do that. To me, I didn't, because I was still doing what I'm doing. To this day, I'm still using my designs for any kind of reason.
You're representing, man.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to do was represent.
You got us on the map as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you kind of raised up the tribe, maybe.
I hope so, because when I went to IAIA in Santa Fe, a lot of people didn't know who we were. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's one of my things is kind of let people know that, we're down here and we're putting in work. Yeah. And there's so much of us.
I've mentioned it a few times where it was like, all right, we have the Navajo code talkers, and then there's like the Apache helicopter, and they're like, the TO what? The who's?
Well, the Pima Cotton. I don't even know what Pima Cotton is. That's it,
So I was on the fence of it, and I'm all for you expanding and just getting the exposure.
Thank you.
That's again another thing. I'm very proud of you. Very like you got a big taste of it, and I feel like we can get a taste of it just by relatable. Like, wow, like you're one of us. Shows the next generation they can do it too. And I think that's more important than any other aspect of this or somebody's hurt feelings. It's like, wait a minute, like. This is more uplifting in general than any of this negativity that people want to throw around. So I'm all for that. Fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm glad I said go into detail because I didn't know what it was. I was like, wow, like maybe I should have, but whatever. Like fantastic. That's cool. I'm definitely gonna go looking for it.
Check it out.
Everybody who's listening,
I seen
look for it. I haven't seen it. I don't think I have. As far as I know, the question I forgot when I brought up the painting you had left at IAIA was your signature. Like you continually say you want to get your name out there. Like what if people are looking for your artwork and say they're like I said, I saw the one on the side of Sal's District thinking it was yours because of the color use, and then I was like. What does your signature look like? Because like on my dad's, it's FR1. Whenever I see a painting, I go, oh, that looks like his work, and I'll look for FR1. So what's your signature like?
So my canvas work, canvas digital fine art stuff will be always Dwayne Manuel.
Okay,
I'll say Dwayne. Dwayne Manuel. And then my mural work, a lot of them would say Dwayno Insano.
Okay.
And so I wasn't until recently actually I signed a mural to Dwayne Manuel. So I kind of jump back and forth depending on how I feel. But I felt that Dwayno Insano was kind of more of my alter ego when it comes to muralism or stuff like that. While Dwayne Manuel's the fine artist, the kind of more, I'm not going to say the real me, but the other half, I guess you would say in some sense. Recently I did Dwayne Manuel, and I kind of find, as I kind of keep changing, right, as a person, as an artist, that I kind of jump back and forth. But I kind of going more to Dwayne Manuel these days, just because I guess I'm maturing or something like that. But I feel like it's more appropriate, formal, I guess you could say. But Dwayno Insano would always be there. I think there's like I said, it's my alter ego or my other half, and it'll be signed here and there depending on the situation.
But you do always sign though, right?
Yeah,
on the murals?
Majority. Yeah,
nobody has an issue with that, right? We don't want your signature.
No, I never have.
Good,
no,
good.
There have been occasions where I forgot to sign like a skateboard, which is always kind of hard. In fact, there's been several skateboards I forgot to sign from painting. That's more of a fine art thing. But they're like, hey, where's your signature? I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot.
Oops,
but it's okay. But aesthetically, it's there. You know, it's me.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say that you're. I did a art appreciation class, and they were giving us terminology to use when we were trying to describe someone's work. And the one that always gets overused, and I always remember to use it, is stylistic. Oh, yeah. Your artwork is very stylistic of you. And when I saw the bright colors of the one in cells, I was like, oh, that's got to be you. And then you're saying, no, it's not. So before I go on to the next part, can people find your work here in town, a mural, and on the res? Like, where are they going to find your work?
I'm trying to think.
Like, if they want to see it in person.
Not much here in Tucson. I'm trying to think of stuff I have. Nothing, I don't think. Actually, I don't know if there's still something in the Tucson Museum of Art. Okay. I did an installation mural inside the front lobby, and that, due to the pandemic, it was supposed to get cleared out, I think, the year of the pandemic, but since the pandemic happened, they kept it up. And I'm not too sure if it's still there. We're almost 3 years into the pandemic. I haven't heard anything. I got to ask.
You mean they would paint over something?
Yeah, well, that was kind of the deal, was they were going to rotate murals inside that front lobby. So that was there, and last I knew they were keeping it up for a while until the pandemic, but I'm not too sure where it's at now. Wow. Okay. And that's the only thing we have here in the down south. Everything else is up. The valley, is it all Salt River, Phoenix.
No, nothing in Cells? Well, besides the bridge?
Just the bridge, yeah. Nothing that I can think of now.
Well, then, Cells, if you're listening, we're overdue for a brand new Dwayno Insano, Dwayne Manuel installation here.
There was an administrator at Bobble. I don't think he's there no more, but he had acrylic. I'm pretty sure it was yours.
Oh, really? One of mine? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a dark blue, had the basket. There might have been some gold in it. It was just very bold and stuck out.
Well, I have sold quite a few work to people.
But that's the only one I could think of, like, as far as not a mural, but acrylic. Yeah.
I've sold quite a few to people down south, with all over the nation.
Cool. Yeah. I'm gonna be looking for them.
Yeah.
Like, keep doing them.
I got to get back on that, the acrylic paintings.
All right, so my next part here is I wanted to ask, like, I think you did an announcement on your Instagram maybe where there was like 10 artists being selected for Phoenix. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so that was recent. That was in February. Well, I think it started in last year. Anyways, the Roosevelt Row, it's called. It's in Phoenix. It's pretty much the arts district in Phoenix. And they were having, so there's tons of murals going on there. It's a huge art area. Mm-hmm. They were having this call for artists where they wanted to, there was this new building coming up, APS building, that's the Arizona Public Service. And they're constructing it, but they were going to have murals. I think 8 murals on each side of the building. And so they had this artist call, like for artists if they're interested to apply and try it out. They were judging off of a portfolio, a written statement, which is pretty much a letter of interest, and then of experience. So there's this whole application process. Yeah. And my buddy, shout out to Breeze One Phoenix. He's also throwing out them. He said, "Hey, they're doing this mural artist call. You should try out for it, but it's coming up pretty quick."
Yeah.
So I see a lot of those, but I never have time to kind of fully look and see what they're doing, the criteria. And if something turns me off, I don't go through it. You know, you go with it, okay, I'll go to the next one. But this one, he kind of pushed me. He's like, "Hey, you should do it. You know, the money's pretty good." And so I looked at it. I was like, "Okay." I looked at the criteria. Okay, I have enough time to apply for this. I have pretty much everything I need to supply. I just got to write that letter. Yeah. And so, anyways, I took some time and I did it, sent it in, and then maybe a month later, that's when I found out that I was picked. Cool. I believe they said there's probably, I think, roughly 70 artists who applied, and only 8 were chosen. Awesome. So luckily, I was one of the few. You know what I mean? Which is pretty cool. Very cool. And so that's pretty much how that went. And so come February, that's when I started that mural. And I think I only had they allotted, I think, 12 days per artist to finish. And because they had to stagger, we couldn't all paint at once. All 8 artists, we had to, because of materials like the lifts, right? The scissor lifts. So they said, we had to allot those times for usage for each artist. Wow. So I only had 12 days to complete this mural. And so for my mural concept,
is that a lot?
The days?
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yes. It's a lot because with spray paint you can I paint fast. But is it a little? Yes, because it was kind of a large wall. I needed. Luckily, I had that lift. Yeah. If I had a ladder, I would have killed myself because up and down the ladders it's hard work. But that lift made things so convenient. Nice. So, anyways, with that mural concept, I don't know if I sent you an image, but I think I did send you an image of me standing in front of it. I'm wearing the hard hat and the.
Is it like heavy in pink?
Yeah, there's reds, greens, stuff like that, and going on there. Pinks.
I'm hoping to have one of them. I think I do. I'll put it on.
And so we had to, since we were part of the construction part, the process, the construction stage, we had to get insurance, for being on the construction job. We had to wear hard hats and the reflective stuff just because we're part of the construction team. And so. Wow. That was pretty cool. Actually, it was my first time experiencing stuff like that. My first time having to buy insurance for a wall, while working, just in case fall off or stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. That again up my professionalism a little more. Now I know what to do for the next.
Yeah, you need insurance.
I got insurance. I'm insured.
Very cool.
So that was a really good experience, and it was fun. Looking back at it, I got exhausted. It was very exhausting trying to get this wall done because when it comes to me, I'm always, as a painter, as an artist, I always look, step back, and look again. And when I step back, that's where the kind of thinking comes. When I think, I kind of say, okay, I'm gonna put this color here. Do I make this mark here? You know what I mean? So I spend a lot of time kind of looking at my wall from a distance, and people were like, "Hey, you're minding your own work, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm making decisions right now in my head." And so, I couldn't do that as much with this wall because, 1, I was on the lift constantly, and then 2, there was construction going on around me. There was construction workers, all kinds of heavy machinery, so I couldn't walk around. I could have, but it'll take time. I was on a kind of a deadline, so I couldn't walk back here and look at it for 30 minutes. Because a lot of the times I'm kind of staring at and putting things together in my head. So with this one, I had to just kind of hammer it out fast. And so that's kind of how the process went. And it was cool. It was a really good experience. I really enjoyed my time there.
Do you name a lot of your work? Did you name? Did you name that one?
I essentially do. And for this one, I'm still working on it. It has to do with foundations. I'm going to have the word foundation in there somewhere because that's what the painting is about. It's about the foundations of the area.
Is it not done?
It's completed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completed. But the whole process of all the murals, which is kind of the larger project, isn't done yet. And I think they're going to ask us for the when they have I don't know, they're having an unveiling or what they're going to do, some kind of public release. But I'll definitely have my title ready for that. But yeah, I generally title everything I do.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. You mentioned how big. You said it was a big wall. How big are we talking?
I'm trying to think of the dimensions again. I want to say it was 30 feet wide and 20 feet tall.
Wow.
Something like that. I'm trying to remember it in my head, but it was pretry tall.
Now size-wise, is that the biggest you've gone?
I think so, probably. I've done longer, size-wise. But that was probably in general, the shape probably the biggest, I think, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd like to be larger.
Who was commissioning this? Was it the city of Phoenix or was it?
It was kind of
public services.
Yeah, it was on public service. this company called Artlink. I think there's like 2 other entities because I had to put all of those entities in the insurance.
Wow.
So yeah, there's like 4 or 5. There's like a construction thing. Yeah, so it's like this whole project. So it was really cool. Yeah, again, professionalism again. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
it was
for
pretty cool.
those people that are listening, this guy is bona fide. He's got it. If, for the next commission that we're going to do, he's construction worthy.
Construction insurance.
Yeah, I like it.
And so that kind of shows you too for other artists kind of who are listening right now that you can start off small, right? Kind of how you're talking about your podcast. You start off small and you're eventually going to get bigger and bigger. I mean, not only bigger in exposure, but just bigger in your kind of ideas, thoughts, process, things like that. So kind of be ready, or be not ready, but be accepting of those kind of things that are going to happen. You'll probably face it again with y'all, with your podcasts. What's next, the next step, because you guys sound like you're pretty inspired and motivated to keep it going. So I'm assuming that your materials and things are going to kind of up a little bit more. And then I remember I was listening to your other podcast recently. You guys are talking about money when it comes into play. Like if somebody were to sponsor, like I'm cussing. No. So it's like that. When you guys are talking about it, I thought about Wayne's World when what's the name? So Garth. So, when he drops his pen under the table, he goes in there and talks to the camera. Yeah. So, like that. I think it's like that with anything. Don't do that. For me, in my artwork, I never knew I would be doing stuff like that. I never knew I'd be getting insurance for having to paint this wall. You know what I mean? I never thought I'd be wearing a construction hat, wearing that kind of stuff because, you know what I mean? So, it's just like growth. You know what I mean? I talking to my other friend, Breeze, again. We talk about this all the time. We're constantly... what's the word? Elevating. You know what I mean? So if you're into your craft or into what you do, so I can see that you two will definitely be elevating if you guys keep going. You know what I mean? What you guys are 3 seasons in, and so I feel that as well as an artist that I'm also elevating, and also as a teacher as well. There's professionally, there's always elevation that's going to be happening if you're just kind of working.
Are you currently teaching right now?
Yeah, I'm at TLCC.
Really?
The TLCC Phoenix Center.
Phoenix. Yeah. All right. I was going to say, if people want to find you there, you said the Phoenix TOCC.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I would love to take it.
Do you ever look back and be like, oh, I should have had insurance back then? Like, I think when we interviewed Rob and he was talking about, like, maybe being in some dangerous spots or just, it kind of can get dangerous. Like, that's why the insurance is there, but, like, in the beginning stages were you ever in a dangerous spot where, for the love of the art, it was like, I'm going to put myself there and still get it done? Like, just like being on like a 12-foot ladder or a 15-foot extension ladder, it's, those thoughts when you're painting, like if you, for instance, I was painting on the ladder and I'm painting and my can accidentally falls, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like that's 3 seconds of drop. You know what I mean? What happens if I fall off this ladder? Knock on wood, it never happened. But I thought about it, but I never really had a situation where I was kind of on that, like where I was hanging off a ladder, like Griswold and Family Vacation.
What about the criminal element? You ever had to watch your paint while you're up there, like these guys?
That's
I hate my paint. You have any situations?
I haven't personally had that happen. I've had crackheads and people standing by the wall where I think, but they're just kind of doing their own thing. Like that happened a couple of times at that Roosevelt wall. I was just painting. These random crackheads kind of walking around and saying that I am kind of on edge just because I'm in general public. You never know what's going to happen, so I kind of keep my eye. Yeah, you got to keep your eye on stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I never had any situation where I've had to chase anybody down. But I've heard people who have, I have artist friends who said they had chased down people who try to grab their paint while they're painting in public. But no, not me personally. I haven't had that situation.
Good. Well, knock on wood again.
I know, exactly. You never know.
That's very cool. So as far as elevating, do you have anything in mind that you're looking into now to expand? Like what's your next step?
Well, I would like to. This is kind of a dream of mine, is to have a warehouse studio space. Just the open space where I could be able to paint freely, largely, kind of have a whole setup of, painting stuff.
You could leave it out?
Yeah, leave it out. Just be like a whole workspace. And even leasing out space to other artists to come and work, like maybe making sections like of little studios so they can come in and paint. That's kind of something I would like, because I've had friends who did that in like Santa Fe, and just being in that whole area was really cool. Like the energy again.
Yeah.
And then there's this spot in Los Angeles, California called the Catania Yard, and it's just like a playground of mural art. You know what I mean? But you can't go in there and paint. Of course, you got to ask permission, but just world-class murals.
Like a hub.
Yeah, like a
hub for artists.
And even then, throwing the music aspect in there would be cool. Like have shows there, you know what I mean? Something like that. But my idea definitely would be like a warehouse studio space, where just like large, open, where you can create. And
at this point, is that a dream right now, or have you started looking like at real estate?
It's more of a dream. Haven't started looking yet, but I think it's something I would definitely want to get into. And so far throughout life, if I put something in my mind to it, I can get to that position.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's going to take some planning and some saving. Like you, I'm bad with money.
Well, you know, it sometimes pays off. You know, sometimes you never know. You throw something at it. Sometimes I'm like, dear God, why did I spend that much money? I could have did this or that. But sometimes it's like, wow, like I still got it. It's still going.
Yeah, you never know. And,
it's a good investment.
I thought about making a podcast too. I don't know if I'm gonna
do it,
but I thought about. I don't know what I'm talking about. Artists, interview artists, but I do like the aspect of bringing guests in and talking to them. I think that's cool.
Here's your beginning.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I might have to. Then I can join the Native American Network. What's it called? The
Reservation Radio Network.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You say that one of the episodes.
I better say this right now, so people.
And I don't want to like boost your ego, but you got a cool voice. You got a good voice. Like,
thank you.
It's kind of booming and like clear. I like that.
I recently somebody told me that I had the ability to project, project the voice, and I think I just learned that from teaching. You know, I have to make sure I'm clear to my students and things like that.
I meant to ask you that too. What's the title of your class? What are you teaching?
I teach primarily the introductory level, like painting 1, drawing 1, introduction to basic design, things like that. The majority are 2D art. Like I don't do photography or anything like that because I don't know how, but just painting and drawing and the 2D arts and stuff. Okay.
How many? How big are your classes?
So right now at TOCC we're maxing at 10. Because we're online still. We're still virtual.
Oh, okay.
So, but we are going to face-to-face classes starting this summer.
Cool.
So that number might go up.
Yeah.
Depending.
Are you at the Indian Center?
Yeah.
You got your own office and stuff, or?
Yeah, I don't have an office personally, but we have TLCC has office space in there, and I have my own classroom. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to ask what's your what kind of setup do they have for you? Is it like a studio?
It's not like a studio because it's an office space, but right now I am in talks with the TLCC about. The dean brought it up. Said, "Hey, what do you think about having the classroom as your studio space?" I was like, "What? Like, you mean like my working studio space and teach classes to others?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's a cool idea. I think we could do something with that." And right now, it's because the TLCC center over there is all office space, and I have to adjust it to. I have to take some, precautions about making it a studio space because with the studio space, there's going to be quite a few accidents and flying around. So I might have to kind of think about that a little more and how to remedy that. Probably I might have to resort to laying large amount of plastic on the ground or something thick plastic. But we'll see where that's at because right now we're still kind of talking about it.
Maybe that garage liner.
Oh yeah,
that it's just slick. And I mean, you don't want to be slipping and sliding, but like easy to clean up. Go through with a power washer. How long have you been with them?
I started in 2018.
Wow. Okay,
yeah, 2018.
Well, maybe you stick with them, and maybe they'll invest in you.
The idea.
Maybe they'll build you something. For you or. You and future artists. That's very cool. Yeah, because I think that, TO in general, Autumn in general, we have a lot of, like I said, we were talking about artists, right? We have a lot of artists. Yeah. So I think we need to nurture that more and kind of expose them throughout the... I say this a lot, that, me... And I always reference my buddy Tom Breeze from Phoenix, because he's doing a lot of work in Phoenix, and he's been one of my motivation and inspirational person. But we talk about this a lot, that, me and him, we're getting up there in age. We're getting older, right? And so we got to pass that torch on to the next person. And so, that's why I teach. Is I want the next
Anthem artists or in Native American artists to, get their voice and learn how to learn the skills to get that message across. That's what we're doing. We're teaching them how to paint and draw, teaching them how to, use their voice. And so that's where I'm kind of looking at nowadays, is thinking about that future, who's going to do what I'm doing, but push it further. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. What if you had to describe your teaching style, like either is it inspired by a teacher you had, or is this all on you? Like if somebody were listening and they go, I want to go take your class, what can they expect from you?
Well, I'm inspired by I pull from a lot of my teachers that I've had when I was in college. A big one that nowadays that I had in U of A was Alfred Quiros. He's a Mexican painter, muralist. So I learned a lot from him, and his teaching style was really cool. And then I pulled from another teacher of mine named Gary Setzer from U of A, and he was hilarious. Probably one of the funniest guys I ever met, and teaching-wise too. And he taught me a lot about teaching as well. So I kind of pull from those two, and I always say I'm a hybrid of them. But then again, I have other teachers that I've met at IA that really put an impression on me as well. Norman Akers from I think he's Osage, and he teaches right now up in Kansas University, I think. Oh wow! And so, anyways, I pull from him as well. So I kind of pull from everyone I do. But so with that being said, I kind of take their approaches as well, how they taught, and I use that as well. But then again, I put my own spin in it, where I make sure that I enforce what I'm teaching. I try to make sure I keep the communication open, because I have had teachers who would kind of say, "Do this," and I never talk to them again, and they come back and say, "Okay, that's it." You know what I mean? So I try to keep the communication open and ask for the help. You know what I mean? So for anybody who is interested, I am laid back. I'm not really aggressive, but I do expect you to do the work. You know what I mean? If you don't do the work, then we'll have a problem, and that's when I have to be a hard ass. But luckily that hardly happens. You know what I mean? I never had to really do that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is it? Have you done it in person yet, or you just start online?
Oh no, yeah. No, I did in person first, and then until the pandemic where I had to go online. I remember in 2020 March. Actually, we're coming up on that anniversary, or we are the anniversary actually. Right now, I remember we went to spring break in 2020. And then never came back because of the pandemic. And so we just came back from spring break. So it's been 2 years since then. So I've been teaching 2 years on virtually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you write in on your master's degree when you became a teacher, or did you have to do your own education on teaching as well?
Oh no, just my master's. Yeah, just my master's. That was already Thankfully, for a college level, you just need that degree. Fortunately, some experience, but I have a little experience before that as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what degree did you get at the IAIA?
I got my bachelor's in fine arts at
Yeah. Was it still fine arts for your master's?
Yeah, it's for still fine arts. Yeah.
Cool. I was going to ask, you mentioned your fine arts aspect of your technique and all that, so I'm kind of curious if you have, in classical art, do you take from any of those, like any that inspired your work? Yeah, definitely. Like I said, abstract expressionism, huge influence when it comes to like cubism and things like that. So
Picasso, big one. Actually, I was thinking about this the other day. Picasso was a big influence, because I don't know if you've ever seen any of his earlier work. He was doing realism stuff, real.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
hand drawings.
Yeah,
too.
Everybody knows him from his cubism stuff, where it's just shapes and stuff. But before that, they don't know that he's equipped and knows how to paint and draw realism, like really nice work that you want to look at. And it wasn't until the turn where abstraction he wanted to go that route and just did shapes and stuff and colors. So big influence, of course. But those old masters are also a big influence. Hieronymus Bosch, I don't know if you know who he is. He does all the weird Garden of Earthly Delights. He does these weird
like it's hell or
hell
purgatory.
Stuff. Yeah, before his time. He was thinking up these weird stuff back then on the 1400s. You know what I mean? I think that kind of stuff really I really draw from too. Very dark stuff. And so and their techniques I use too. They're blending, because if you look at their work, it's just beautifully blended together, seamless. You know what I mean? So I try to use that here and there throughout my work.
How do you feel about like Salvador Dali? Because I kind of like when I think of like the melting mouths and the clocks, going over a corner.
Yeah.
I kind of saw that in like I don't know if it was pen or paint, but one of the pictures we're gonna have of you on the podcast is you're in front of like two paintings or drawings.
Yeah, drawings. Yeah, charcoal drawings.
They look like charcoal. Yeah. They look like surrealist. Like you got like trees that look almost human. And they're swirling and twirling. I kind of thought of
Salvador Dali. Yeah. I like Salvador, of course. I think everybody kind of likes him. And they say, in the art world, or at least the art academia, is that the Salvador Dali's surrealism is always kind of the ones you kind of like in high school, right? It's the cool thing to like. So that's what they say. And you mature more, you kind of get into these other things. But, the stuff you like in high school is the stuff you used to like. So you would always kind of look back at that growing up. So I still look back at him. I like Salvador's work. Do I think that it's cliche that a lot of people do kind of imitate his style? Yeah, but still, he's influential for a reason. And nothing can't argue with that. You know what I mean?
There was one. I can never pronounce the name. I want to say Gautier or something like that. But there was. It's like really, really dark. The whole outside is dark, and it's like a giant eating a man.
Oh yeah.
Like I never remember the guy's name, but like when you say, "Oh, my art's dark" in the beginning, that was probably one of the first paintings I had never seen, and then suddenly I saw it in college, and it was like, it wasn't very detailed. Like I like to see detail, and like, I know exactly what I'm looking at. I like that, but like something about it. He was out of focus. The majority of it was just black paint. Yeah. And there was some red, but then something about the expression looked gruesome to me. Like it was like kind of made my skin crawl a little bit. And I was just wondering, like, do you still carry any of that darkness in your work?
I think that painting's Saturn eating his child. I think it's
Saturn. Saturn. Yes. Yeah.
But I of course I do. Yeah, I still have ideas of stuff I like to draw. Sometimes I'll sketch up some stuff, and they're kind of little hints if you look at the stuff I send you, maybe, like with the toilet paper one. There's a little bit of darkness, or a lot of darkness going on there. So, but I'm mature as an artist where I kind of make the decisions to only leave certain things in there, and I don't, I could add blood in the toilet paper, or I could do stuff like that, but, as an artist, I chose not to, just because, I guess I matured. So, yeah, of course, I still have a lot of darkness and stuff like that in me that I still think about. I like to portray. And actually, I did maybe send you a couple of things via the text that I have a body of work. Actually, I should send it to you. They're all digital. I have posted some called American Possession, and that's where I merged kind of my love for horror movies with historical aspects that are more in context of Native Americans. So, like, I did the picture of what's his name, Columbus, right? But I turned him into a demon, and he has a bunch of horns all over himself. And then I did the Mount Rushmore, right? The presidents, but I turned them into demons. So that all comes from the idea of the indigenous perspective of that possession, the demonic possession taking hold, which is kind of what happened, right? This English or colonial, whatever you want to call it, colonization as the demon, and they're taking hold of not only us but our way of life, our land, stuff like that. So that's kind of the way I went with it. I call it American possession. And then so I sent you that picture of the kids. Recently, what happened? The issue with the all those. The mass burial of children found at the funeral, churches.
The burial sites that they found.
The churches. So that image is in there. That image is in there. That's in you'll probably put on YouTube.
I want to make sure it is. If I don't see it, I'll reach out to you because I want to include as much as I can. I was very curious as you were talking about all this stuff you leave out. Are you still doing work that maybe you don't share that's just for you? Is that what's that look like?
Yeah,
I
do.
Stuff that you keep for yourself.
That's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking about this again the other day. Is that there's a lot of work that doesn't see the light of day. Public I want to say the light of the screen because we posted all on social media. So there's a lot of work that I haven't posted. There's actually a lot of work that I tore up just because it's part of my process or it's therapy, I guess you would say. But there are things that I haven't shared yet. I probably won't share. And it's just like, some stuff ain't that serious. Some stuff is maybe more technical, where I'm practicing, blending or practicing something.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is either drawings or paintings I felt weren't successful or weren't coming to success. That way I didn't finish them. And some aren't. Some are just stuff that I don't want to revisit this.
Huh.
A lot of them are just kind of character design, like how you were talking about with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they're kind of random. Yeah.
When you do destroy them or tear them up, is there any kind of ceremony for you?
No, not really. It's just I look at them and then I'll say, okay, this is an idea I had, but I really don't feel like pursuing it, or I don't think, it's not really feeling it, so I tear it up. And I think that's important for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
That they need to kind of look at what they're doing, and because I know nowadays we're in the sharing culture, right? With social media, everybody wants to share everything they're doing, right? Everybody's got to see it. Yeah. I still don't think that. I think of it as I still think of it as the old school way where I kind of choose what I put on there, which is kind of what social media is anyways. We make a highlight reel of our lives, right? But I don't post everything on social media. Anyways, the way I do it is, if it doesn't work with me, it doesn't jive with me, then I'm not gonna pursue it any longer. And I tear it up, throw it in the trash. Burn and I think it's crazy. I should burn it. People think it's crazy when I tell them that, but I learned that in my master's program with my instructors. They'd be like, I have a painting that I put hours into, days, weeks, and it's not working for me. And then we talked through the process. And I was like, I did this painting, it's not working. And they were like, well, what are you going to do with it? I was like, I don't know, nothing. Put it away. They're like, why don't you just get rid of it? I was like, what do you mean get rid of it? They're like, just throw it away. Or paint over it. I was like, wow. Yeah, I could do that. And I'll try it. I remember the one struggle to try it to see what happened. And so I did. And I was like, you're right. I got a next idea. Wow. You know what I mean? So you kind of jump to the next. Yeah, you kind of jump to the next thing. And it goes with this quote that I like from Leonardo da Vinci. He said that a painting isn't complete; it's always abandoned.
Yeah,
you can keep trying to massage this painting to what your liking is, but that could essentially take a lifetime.
Yeah.
So why do that when you can abandon it and start on the next idea? That's how I feel about it.
Well, that's how I see it.
I like that.
Artists never finish, only abandon.
Yeah, exactly.
You could stay forever working on a painting, but that's why now that I've been painting, I want to look at it, but I'd rather just give it to somebody else, so I don't have to look at it. I want to be like, I'm gonna add this, get it out of my way, because it's gonna go in the trash pretty soon, because I can critique it for so long.
Yeah.
See, you get it.
You're your own worst critic sometimes.
I was gonna throw that too at you. I was like, artists never finish, only abandon.
Yeah.
But you got it.
I tell my students that all the time. I'm glad you're painting too. That's cool.
I was gonna bring up this story of this guy when I moved down to Ajo, and it was an artist community. I was around a bunch of people, and one of the guys was a pottery maker, and I always wanted to learn pottery. And I remember he's like skilled, experienced. Like he'll do like 30 pots, and they're all in the kiln. And then some burst, and he's just like,
Yeah.
And then, I remember one time I got, I finally finished one from beginning to almost end, right before you go and glaze the pot.
Yeah.
And I showed it to him, but, I had accidentally, tore through, and I was trying to shape it. And I was like, oh, what do I do? And he looked at it, and he just started breaking it apart. And I was like, I was staring at him like, what are you doing, you son of a bitch? And he's just, breaking it apart, and he's just like, yeah, just start another one. And I was just like, it was traumatic, but it was like, okay, and the next one, I didn't tear through it,
Yeah, see, exactly.
But it was like, I had to wrap my head around that, and, for him, he does 30 in a day, and he's breaking them left and right. He's he's keeping what he thinks is the good one.
Yeah.
So what he saw, he didn't give it a second thought. It just wasn't even his pot, But he just started tearing it apart. I'm just like, I want to choke you, but you're my master. I'm like, you're tearing it up. And he's just tearing the walls apart. I'm just like, oh, God.
Yeah.
But it was a lesson. It was there was a lesson in that. I was like, at some point, I'll reach a skill level where I can do that and not give it a second thought.
Yeah.
But I have to work to that point. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to do it, because I was at the point where this was the first pot that made it all the way through. Like, it was ready to glaze, and almost there, and then like shaping the foot of it, I tore it through the bottom. I was like, like it was a learning point for me, but I didn't realize it. Looking down my nose at it, he was like, I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I repair this? And he's just like, he looked at it. 2 seconds, he's just like, just started tearing it apart. I was like, oh my God, like dying inside.
Exactly,
like, a part of me. But then after that, I was like, all right, well, I got to start another one.
Yeah.
It's time to do the next part. And after that, I was like, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for destroying that one, you bastard.
You bastard. Well, that's if you look at the trajectory from like when you start to, if you were to keep it going, and to the ending, which will be, if you kept it going, the end of your life, right? That one pot will be one out of what? Hundreds of thousands that you'll make. And
I wasn't seeing it through his. I was like, for him, I was like, pot. It didn't work. Tossed it, like, no problem. And that was the difference between a master like him and just a novice. Like, I was starting out, and every pot meant the world to me.
Yeah.
But now, like, since then, like, in my family's house, we've got like 5 or 6 bowls and like misshapen cups that were like finished, glazed, and I'm like, and those probably never would have came if I couldn't get over that one failure.
Exactly. Yes.
So
perfect.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, he summed it up for me.
There was another part I wanted to bring up. It's on this new show, Mrs. Maisel. It's like comedy on Amazon. Doesn't matter. The point is, there was this one where she's talking to this. He's an actor, but like in the movie, he's this profound artist, and like they're trying to buy art from him. And he's like, no, they're not for sale. Like, no, they're in his studio, and they came there just to buy art. But he's like, no, not you. Like, he's judging the guy who came with the money. He's like, no, they're not. He's like, oh, what about this one? You want to buy this one? He's like, no, it's not for sale. He has his back to them, and the guy's like, he holds up nothing. He says, what about this one? The artist is like, no, it's not for sale. And then he's like, hey, can you give us a minute? And the guy with the money left, and while they're standing there, they're talking. And the guy told her before he got there, he's like, hey, this man did one of the greatest paintings in the world, and there's rumored that he still has it, that nobody's ever seen it. And while the guy leaves the room, he takes her in this, like, he like pulls a cupboard away from like this wall. It's like a hidden room, and he goes in there, and it's covered up. It's this giant painting, and they don't even show it for effect. They don't show it, but he's looking at it, and he says, I might not ever paint again after this one. This is everything I had. I put everything in there, all my feeling and my emotion on this one piece, and I could die now. I'm never going to do anything better than this. Like, I wasn't too like on with that type of thinking, like, oh, now it's over. Now after this one it's done. But the idea of that, this artist that put everything he had in this final piece that nobody will ever see. He's like, it's not for sale. He's like, it's not for sale. It's not for show. This one's for me. It's like, and that's why it's so good. And they're both staring at it, but the camera's on this side of it. You're like, show me. I want to see it. I gotta see it. But it wasn't for me. It was for this artist. He had his own piece, and it was so great because he did everything onto it. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering, do you have something like that you have? Maybe you moved a couple times. You went to New Mexico, you come back to Salt River. Do you have a piece that kind of went with you? Maybe nobody's seen, or maybe they've seen it but didn't know it means that much to you. Do you have a piece like that?
I don't think I have anything necessarily that is like that, like kind of my grand, nothing like that. But I do have work that I keep just for me personally to look back on to see where I was at. At a certain time. So there's actually I got quite a few works that, like I did at IEIA, the U of A, that I keep kind of tucked away that I'll probably will look at maybe another 10, 15 years when I look back again, just to see where I was at a specific time in my life. Yeah. But nothing like that where it was like, this is my grand point in my life, and I'm going to keep this to myself. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I do have work that, like I said, doesn't see the light of day or anything like that. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Yeah, I just liked it. It was kind of folklory.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, I think Sky brought up the other day about the Tech 9 lyric. He's like, I'm an artist, and I'm...
Oh, yeah.
Someone else's lyric.
Erykah Badu, yeah.
Yeah, Erykah Badu. So it's like, I'm an artist, and I'm sensitive about my shit.
Yeah, I remember that.
I like that. And like you know, that's the type of thing that gets me choked up when I think about art. It's like, everybody has their own art. And like, even people who go, oh, I'm not an artist, I don't do anything, they still have something that they put their passion into.
Exactly.
And I loved it. It was like a folklore, heart-touching moment. And they didn't show it. I didn't get to see it, but in my mind, I was painting this picture.
Yeah, what it looks like.
It's probably wonderful.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, everybody does, they do portraits, they do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, in my mind, it was a landscape.
Yeah, okay.
And that's where I see it. Like, that's where my artist goes, land, nature. Like we're from the land, you know, here, and like, maybe it's the last great possession that we have is this land, and that we got to keep it and covet it and take care of it, you know, because if we lose, you know, one more inch of it, if that's gone, you know, I think the land is every bit as much of our identity, you know, as our language and the music that we produce and the art. It's the land. There's like I saw. It was hidden in that last piece that I saw of yours where there's saguaros, there's hasha on there. And I was like, and they're hidden. I kind of feel like they were hidden in what appeared to be clouds or like this sunset color. And then I see the silhouettes, and I'm like, somebody who comes from the desert may only know what that is.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, or they've seen it, you know, or maybe you see it in the back of your mind, or maybe that's why it's in the background. But it was like, beautiful. We belong.
They left it up to your imagination to kind of see what it looks like. Kind of reminds me of the suitcase on Pulp Fiction, right? Just
the shiny. Like,
we want to see what's in it.
Everybody's looking in there like,
it's beautiful.
Wow. Is that what I think it is? It is.
Hell yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, that's cool though. That's a good point.
All right, so we just hit the 2-hour mark, and unless we're like still feeling going hard, I kind of ready to ask you like our final questions. There. All right.
Yeah.
Are you got something, Sky?
Just real quick,
we're
riffing off, and I don't know if Dwayno wants to maybe say what I'm saying, but I think there's a point in where someone has a passion or they have a lane of art, and then they have success. And then they chase the success, the feeling of the success, versus maybe moving past. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about with this abandoning the art, because you could stay focused on it forever or chase that feeling, and you're never gonna feel it again. You're gonna have to kind of go expand further and go
elevate,
and kind of elevating. And you were kind of talking about that with your master's program, where being pushed and then feeling like, oh man, do I belong here? Like when you went through that program, was like, did you get what you wanted out of that, or was it like getting something totally different? Because I think we all kind of test out education, and then there's realms to the education. So like when you said that you were pushed, do you think that it was like what you were expecting to get out of it when you first signed up for it, or was it something totally different that you got from it, and your artwork is different now? Or
I think going into a master's program, I kind of knew what to expect roughly. Like I didn't know in detail how I was going to get through it, but I do know it was going to be a hard job, because I was told when I graduated with my BFA, one of my instructors, shout out Karita Coffee, she said that grad school, the master's degree, you know, when you're leaving your bachelor's, you're running. It's like you're running a race and you're feeling good, like you passed the finish line, but you got a little more to go. So you're running, you're feeling good, and a master's program, what they're there to do is to push you and see what you do. So you're running, you get pushed. Like, what do? You stagger and fall, or do you pick yourself up? So that's how the way she put it to me. So I had an idea that they're going to do that. Like I felt good, like I felt like a rock star coming out of my bachelor's degree. Right? I got a bachelor's, doing this kick-ass art. Let's go into the master's program and kick this ass too. But I knew that it was going to be tough because I knew they were going to challenge me because, after I was done, they did tell me that, we're here to challenge you as an artist because, you got your bachelor's, you come into your master's, now this is where the kind of the big leagues almost is, you know what I mean? And so, okay, it made sense afterwards. But yeah, going to the ringer with the master's degree, I didn't know what to expect, but I did know I had to rise to the occasion, and I had to challenge myself not only to buckle down and do the work, buckle down to think more critically about my artwork and what I'm doing, but also do that legwork, the footwork, right? I had to go to the library, hours in the night just to read up on what I'm going to be doing, what I want to do with my artwork. I got to practice what I'm going to say to, my instructors when I do my portfolio reviews, so it's, again, it's elevating, and I didn't know what I was doing when I first got in, but I knew I was in the midst of it, and I knew I had to just kind of trust in the process, as they say.
Nice.
So, that's pretty much how it went, and so I did come out of it stronger, again, more mature as an artist and a person coming out of that master's program, and going through that, I also got it equipped me to look at other people's work, like my students' work. You know what I mean? It got me more talkative about my work as well, and also learn how to talk about other people's work as well too. So yeah, it was this whole process. You know what I mean? These stages, almost kind of getting to a certain point before I left the U of A with my master's. So yeah, it was kind of jumping into the unknown, but then again, kind of having some idea that the unknown was gonna rip me into pieces or something.
But do you think that there's that feeling of success because you reached a higher place, but then it's almost like not even the point?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, there was success knowing I went through it. Like, okay, I got my master's, which is what I went through, and knowing that I was better equipped to talk about, work on my work. But knowing that there's still more to go, right? I'm not dead yet. There's still the after. You know what I mean? Like, now I got to get a job. I got to learn how to support myself. At the same time, I got to do my work, because if I don't do my work, I don't know about you guys or anybody listening. I don't know if you have something that you feel like you need to do or you get depressed. That's how I am with art, painting, and drawing. Mm-hmm. Like when I got my bachelor's and moved home, I told myself I didn't want to get my master's, so I moved home from IAA, came back to the Salt River, got a job at the gas station. It was called JR's at the time, off of Beeline Highway, and I was doing security. I had a security job, but I was working 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I was doing 12-hour shifts all night, and so with that kind of job, working the night shift, I would go home, go to sleep, wake up, and do it again. Yeah. So just doing that constantly, I wasn't making enough time for me to draw or paint because I was just working and sleeping. Yeah. And so that kind of took a toll on me. I started getting depressed. I felt like I needed to work, be creative or something like that. And so, doing that job, I just I felt myself getting depressed, and like I wanted to paint and draw, but I wasn't equipped to, because I was tired, I was sleepy. I'm a day person. I like being up during the day. So being up all night, it didn't really do it for me. And so I like the sun. You know what I mean? So it was just this whole going through that. I noticed that I was getting depressed, and I needed to do something to help me create. That's why I got my master's. So, man, I started looking at U of A and ASU to seeing what their dates were for applying for a master's degree, and I was like, shit, it's coming up. And now I got to go to my tribe and get the funding and apply for that too before I do that. So I quit the job, and I just focused getting on my applications for both the tribe and ASU and U of A, and then I got accepted to both. But of course I picked U of A. So no, that's one thing I need to do. So now after U of A, I needed to figure out that there's still life I got to go through. Yeah. You know what I mean? I knew academia was just part of what I was doing. That there's next, I don't know, 60, 50 years going on after.
we got I think it was season 1, or we did an episode called Moving the Cheese. I don't know if you've listened to that.
I listened to a little bit, but I never got to finish.
The idea was there's a point, it was based off of a rat in a maze. You do the same maze again and again and again. After a while, the cheese is no longer a draw. Like, it was like, fuck it, I'll just stand right here. I'm not doing the maze. So the scientists learned they had to move the cheese to reinvigorate their subject, the mouse, that would go after the cheese. So if they didn't change it up and make it new, the experiment went to shit. It went to hell. So that was the whole episode, was moving the cheese. And that kind of sounds like, for you, moving the cheese was your master's degree.
Yeah. I gotta listen to that again.
Yeah.
That one.
Check it out. Who's that?
Someone knocking?
Is that your lady?
Might be.
All right. Well, let's do final words.
Okay.
You want to let her in? Is it? Or just tell her to come in. Come in. Oh, nice.
Oh, that's exactly what you said.
I think it's open.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. All right. So
we're closing up.
All right. So what? Let's let him get it.
Okay.
It's all right.
My bad.
So what we do, and I'm sure you've heard it already on some of the other guests, is we do final words.
Yeah.
Before you end the podcast here, and I've got 4 in mind. I want you to you're talking to the audience here. So I want to hear final words to other artists, maybe your students, maybe, hopefully, whether it be artists on the tribe, maybe, future artists from our tribe. So final words to artists, final words to your friends, like maybe the guys that said, hey, man, go for this. And then one to your family, your parents, your siblings, your lady, and then finally words to the nation. All right? So just final thought, something you want to say. So let's start with the artists. Yeah, words for artists.
What I think, or what I feel that artists should do is kind of what we're talking about with the, tearing up art, tearing up part of the process of growing is to continue to grow, get ideas out, because it does you no good to kind of sit on an idea, or you can always massage an idea consistently, but I think that you should always kind of have multiple ideas, an idea, to get it out, put it out there. That way you can go to the next idea. That kind of goes to the whole how we're tearing about artwork, and moving on to the next one, how we're talking. So I think artists, young artists who are coming up is to do that, because I don't know how many times I talk to a young artist and they say they don't want to put an idea out there because they think it's a really good idea, right? They love this idea and they want to keep it to themselves and then kind of develop it a little bit more. But a part of the process, I think you need to get that idea out. That way you can move on to another idea, because like I said, it's trajectory, right? You're going to have that one pottery out of what, if you're going to keep doing it, if you're serious about your work, you're going to have, who knows, thousands, millions more if you're if you're working. So I think you need to get that out of the way. It's part of growing. You need to get that idea out of the way, because you're only going to have thousands more, because you're a living being. You're going to have constant ideas. So get that out of the way and keep it moving. So I always recommend artists to get those ideas out. And you may think it's a good idea at the time, and it probably is. But again, you probably have even greater idea coming up tomorrow. So you only find that out by getting rid of that one and moving on to the next. So I always tell artists they need to get ideas out, and also take in criticism. Ask another artist, hey, what do you think about this? Honestly, because it's not going to help you if everybody's a yes man. You know what I mean? They're going to keep telling you. You always need that criticism. That's one thing I learned in academia, is that you need feedback from other artists, whether it's technical feedback or an idea feedback. Criticism is good. I mean, you got to learn how to take criticism too. Just because they're saying something's not working in a painting or an artwork or a poem, it doesn't mean that you're not a bad person. It doesn't mean you're not good at what you do. It just means you need to work a little bit more, to kind of get your idea across, or you're getting another perspective at it. So always ask for criticism. I think that's something that's lacking outside of the academic art world, is that I think other artists should be able to talk to each other about their artwork, and if somebody doesn't like something, if you're a good critiquer, you should be able to say why you don't like it, and then you also should be able to provide feedback of how you can make something stronger. And that's just how I feel about looking at artwork. So when I give my students feedback, I tell them what's not working, what needs improvement, why it does, in my opinion, and then I also give them feedback of how they could make it stronger. You know what I mean? So I think those are two key things that up-and-coming artists should know. And also to experiment. I think a lot of the up-and-coming artists should experiment on, whether it's different techniques, different imagery, a different way of looking at an issue. I think the experimentation is needed with artwork, especially for young up-and-coming artists. And those young artists listening, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You know, put your name out there. Even if you're still early in your career, you know, at least they know if you're serious and you keep going, you know, they're going to say, hey, I remember that person came to me 3 years ago and their work wasn't like that. Now it's something else. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But they know your name's in the pool. That wouldn't have happened to me for the Nike. I wouldn't have gotten that exposure if my name wasn't already out there. Yeah. So, you know, but it's baby steps too. You know, you can't expect to become a star overnight, right? So I always tell artists to just keep working, keep getting. Don't even focus on success, because success looks different to everybody. Mm-hmm. And for me, as an artist, success is defined by if I'm going to be able to do what I'm doing now at the end of my life. You know, I think I'll be successful. To me, that's success. Cool. If I'm laying on my deathbed and I'm still drawing, then I think I've been successful. Very cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I have to say to the younger artists. Cool. And also take the torch, because I'm not going to be here forever.
Okay. Nice. Nicely done. How about friends?
Oh, my friends. Well, a lot of my friends are artists or creatives in their own right. So it's kind of the same feedback. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even my friends who are more established, because I do have friends who are established within their art career or creative career. I think they also still need to leave room for growth, because don't become stagnant. You know, sitting in one place doing the same thing over and over. I think you always got to keep elevating yourself. Again, I think that's kind of been a theme here that we've been talking about. Is I think my friends, they should be elevating themselves. And again, that kind of goes to what I just said. You know, trying new things out, taking a new perspective on things, asking for criticism, and not getting hurt by that criticism. Using that criticism to help build up what you're doing. So that's what I want to say to my friends. Is it'll only make them better of an artist and better of a person.
Cool. All right. Family?
My family. Oh, I just want to thank my family for always being there, helping me out. You know, I wouldn't have gone as far as I went without the support of my family and my loved ones. You know, I think this kind of goes towards everyone. Again, is that you should have a support system and kind of rely on that support system. So for me, my support system was my mother, my grandmother, and my older sister. They were always kind of my positive reinforcement. And then also the people I thought about when I came to a decision in my life. Like I always thought, okay, what would my grandma say? Mm-hmm. You know, depending on what was going on. And I think that has always led me on the right path. Yeah. So I think my family, I had to give thanks to all of them for really being there for me and, you know, being motivational. I think, yeah, do it. You know, you can do it. And also letting me leave the reservation, because I do know there's some people that don't want to see, just because they love somebody, right? They want to keep them there. They don't want to see them get hurt, you know, go face the world, because the world's a scary place. So I think that the family should kind of let them be on their way. Let the eagle fly. Yeah. So, you know, I thank them for doing that, because they did let me do that. Of course, under good context. Like, right, I went to New Zealand and Australia in 2004, and that was my first time leaving the home, you know what I mean, across seas. First time ever being on a plane. And, you know, and I was thinking about it, I was like, why did my mom let me go? I was 18 at the time. And I was like, why did my mom let me go? Of course, you know, 18, you're kind of adult, right? Kind of. And so, you know, she let me go across the world, the other side of the world, right? Yeah. And so, but, you know, I'm grateful, because I look back at that experience and I was just, I learned a lot, and it's just being exposed to a whole almost different world was amazing. So I think that my family letting me go, this is kind of goes out to other families too, is to let your child or persons under the right circumstances go to experience the world, experience life outside of the reservation, because I think we always get kind of stuck in the reservation, right? Yeah. And so there's a big world out there, and the people, our young folk, need to experience it, because you know, they'll learn how to communicate better. They'll learn how to all these different things, and they can bring that back to the reservation and make it a better place. Yeah,
definitely. Nicely put. And finally, if you're talking to the listeners of the Natives in America podcast or the Nation, you got words for them?
Oh yeah, I think that you know, right now it's a really delicate time. But there's so much stuff going on, right? The Russia and Ukraine, social media, all this kind of stuff, new stuff. I think it's important that we all should remain to keep our eyes our minds open. We need to kind of make sure that we all take care of one another. But then a part of that is just kind of keeping your mind open and not, we're all different, of course, but then we're also kind of the same too as well. Human beings, we all breathe, we all shit, right? We all piss. So we're kind of the same as well. So I think that as a nation, we got to be aware of that and just accept our differences and just kind of keep things moving together and not being so hateful and like hurtful of one another. And because it's only going to make us better. But it's always going to be there. I know that. I'm just going to kind of say that. But then again, if the majority, right, there could be a difference if the majority kind of follow that and not be so be crazy, not be so crazy, because I think that the way I see things, I'm pretty accepting of everybody, right? I like to think I am, and I wouldn't have been so accepting if I didn't experience and meet so many people throughout my travels. So I think that they kind of all play a role with what I'm saying here between everybody here, that we should all just be good to one another and
get along.
Exactly. So that's kind of my word. It's kind of generic, but it's kind of why I feel. I think we should kind of just look at each other and be accepting of who we are. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. You got anything to add, this guy?
No. I mean, thanks for coming and thanks for
you're welcome.
listening and
thanks for inviting.
Just
for sure, man.
Keep elevating. Yeah, because we've talked about you coming here and wondering what you were gonna say, but then now it's happened and.
Yeah,
I'm inspired.
All right, and
good.
I'm glad. I hope so.
And I think some of the stuff is, like you said, like the similarities and the parallels of. I don't know if it's just how we're brought up or where we're from, but it's very inspiring to see you and to hear what you've done, and then but also hear about the struggles and the realness that goes into like putting yourself out there and being taking on that role as an artist, because I think you're setting an example of what you can do with that role and like that's just awesome, because I think we all have that artistic expression and we all want to hone it sometimes, and other times it seems like it's really impossible because it is a lot of work. So like I said, just continue being that example for her. And I'm glad you're at TLCC. And I know you will spark the mind there too. So just everywhere you just keep on doing you, man.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. I definitely will.
I'll say the same thing. I'll just keep doing you. And I look forward, like when you said how your art will look in 50 years, I probably won't be here to see it, but I hope, like I look forward, to following your work, and you have inspired me, and I hope you inspired other people here that are listening, which is exactly why we wanted you on here.
Great.
And,
thank you.
So just thanks for coming, and keep at it, man.
Course,
keep at it. Good luck with any endeavors you do. I'm sure you'll do well, and we're proud of you.
I appreciate it. That's real quick. That's I never really meant to make people proud, but it's just kind of one of those secondary effects that happened, and I always appreciate it when people do say that, because I never meant for it. I never planned for any of this. I just take it one step at a time, and here I am. But I do appreciate everything that when people say that, because I do know that a lot of people haven't taken the route I've taken, and what have you. So yeah, I greatly appreciate it, and people who tell me that, I do take it to heart.
Well, it's like we don't always, the imagery of the Native American or that, it's not always positive. So like to know that you're out there creating that and you're representing, it's like we can say, oh, he's one of ours, and I like that.
Great,
thank
you. I think so. I agree. I'm accepting. Not accepting, but I do hope, though, that the people do kind of embrace what I do, even if they don't like it. Because we're all kind of together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Cool.
All right,
everybody. You've been listening to the Natives in America podcast on the Reservation Radio Network, and we really appreciate you tuning in. This was Dwayne Manuel, Dwayno Insano. You can find him on Instagram, and if you want to leave comments on the episode, we can get him to him. I'm sure he'll be paying attention and tuning in. So thanks again, Dwayno, for coming, and everybody else, thank you for listening. Yeah. Good night. Peace.